All right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, to another what should be hopefully an exciting night of recorded game action. So, for the last few nights, when I've been streaming, I've been covering our spring tournament, Age of Mythology at 1v1 spring tournament. And I just did the quarterfinals in my last games, or my last streams, and now I'm up to the semifinals. So I'm going to go over the bracket real quick. So if you haven't watched the quarterfinals and you don't want to be spoiled, then you'd better turn this off and go watch the quarterfinals for those of you who are watching later on my YouTube or whatever. So let me load up the bracket here. So here is our spring bracket. Started off as a nice 1v1 tournament with about, I think, like 40 players, of which I was one and promptly got eliminated, but that's all right. So last week or week and a half, I was streaming the quarterfinals, which is this here. Stream Joe versus Redo, Moore versus Brickhead, Player versus Shadowfax, and Shelty versus Sun Tzu. Now the winners were Joe, Moore, Player, and Shelty. And crazy that all four of our winners defeated their opponents 3-0. So I think if there's any kind of like discussion as far as are the best players in the tournament in the semifinals, I think you have to say yes. I mean, every player advanced from the previous round with the 3-0 victory. What's up, Ozone? So on this bracket here, it shows a routine semifinal, continuing the single elimination bracket. But that's actually not the case. At this point, the tournament changes into like a pool play or round robin, however you want to call it, between the final four players. So we can forget the bracket and then move on to the pool play. And I put together a really awesome, high quality image and paint for this. So this is maybe a little confusing at first, but this is our semifinals round robin. So each player will play the other player or each other player in a best of 5 series, and the top 2 players will advance to the finals. Now, theoretically, there could be ties. So if there's a 2-place tie for one of the top 2 spots, then the tiebreaker would be whoever won the head-to-head series. If there's a 3-place tie, say for example, you got player ends up being in first place, and then Moore, Shelty, and Joe all managed to split a bunch of games, and they're all tied for second. Then the tiebreaker for that would be the individual or the number of individual game wins. So like if someone were to win 2 games but still lose the series 3-2, those 2 games they won will then come into play for the second tiebreaker. So I hope that makes sense. So I'm going to be splitting this up hopefully into 3 different nights, doing 2 matches a night. So our first night is obviously tonight, and then I think our next nights will be not until next week. Probably Monday night, and then Tuesday night will be the final semifinals casting. So tonight I've selected, just kind of random, which matches I selected first. But tonight I've got Player against Joe, and then Moore against Shelty. Now, as far as my predictions, I'm sure you guys really want to know what my predictions are. So I'd say for me, the easy choice to not make the finals is Moore. I think of the 4 players, Moore is probably the worst. Moore plays at Oranos, which isn't bad, but I think skill-wise, Moore is a little bit below the other 3. So player, I guess maybe we'll go over the gods first. Player will probably be playing Zeus. Moore will be playing Oranos. Shelty and Joe probably primarily Set. So Zeus, Oranos, Set. So I think Moore will be 4th. I think player. Man, see the rest of the 3. That really. Oh man, I'm in a bind for the rest of the 3. But Moore out. And I think it'll be Joe out as well. So I think it'll be Shelty first, player second, Moore or Joe third, and then Moore fourth. That's my prediction, and we will have to wait until probably next Tuesday when I finish up the round robin pool play. So tonight, again, I've got for you. First, we'll do Shelty versus Moore, and then we'll move on to Player versus Joe. And again, these are all best of 5 series. Top 2 finalists move on. So, hey, no, you think you're gonna be first, huh? Okay, all right. Yeah, no spoilers. So, Player thinks he is going to be first. I think he's second, Shelty first, Joe third, Moore fourth. But we will have to wait and see. So yes, Joe is playing good, and actually Joe is the winner of the last 1v1. I think tournament. I think it was Joe versus I'm gonna have Shelty. I think it was, but I think Joe doesn't make it. I think it's Player. I was surprised Joe made it to the finals last time, and I was surprised that Joe won. But Joe was very good. So we will move on to spring tournament. Semifinals, let's see. I've got a few different recorded games in here. Player, if you could help me out. If you've got the 4th game for you versus Shelty, that would be awesome. Because the game that Shelty uploaded was a veto. But we will see. Let's see, where are we going here? What was the first? Oh, okay. So back in action. I don't know why Shelty is playing on back in action, but he is. So this back in action is against Moore here. Was it match stats? Okay, so I will have to get it off of match stats. So this is game 1 of. Well, let's pause it real quick so I can get my chat lined up here to there. Okay. All right. And now we will start our games here. So we've got Shelty on our top left in the blue, and he is actually Poseidon. Well, that is very interesting. I did not expect that at all. And on our bottom right is Moore, and no surprise, he's Oranos. So we've got Poseidon versus Oranos on Oasis. My first inclination in this match is that the Oranos definitely has the advantage from my perhaps not so expert opinion, but I feel like the Oranos should win a Poseidon versus Oranos match on Oasis. One thing to consider though is that Hippocon don't cost a ton of food, and Shelty will likely be able to mass Hippocon pretty easily, and Moore's counter, Murmillo, or more specifically Cataspeltes, do cost quite a bit of food, so that could hurt a little bit in this specific matchup, but I feel like if Moore gets enough goats, he should be able to handle that pretty easily. He should also be able to get on the offensive pretty early with some Terma raids, I would think. But we shall see what happens. I would assume that we'll see some pretty intensive classical age fights and or raids. And we have back in action, aka Shelty, just scouted his back hunt or side hunt or second hunt, whatever you want to call it. And it actually is the highest hunt spawn possible for Oasis is the 5 giraffe. It can go from, I don't remember the exact amounts low, but it can be pretty low, like maybe 2 giraffe and a gazelle might be the lowest, which is only 750 food, and this is twice that at 3, 6, 9, 12, yeah, 1500. I didn't quite look at the starting zebra. Was it just 2 maybe? Which is towards the low end. I think that's the lowest. He should, yeah, there he goes. Pick that giraffe off on the way. Lure's a very strange god power, and he is using his town center to get at that monkey as well. So Lure has a maximum number of food it can attract, which I believe is 1,000. So theoretically, if you get up to like 900 food, you could get an elephant and end up with like 1,700 food attracted, or you could kind of strike out at your 900 food and only get a gazelle and end up with 1050. So it has kind of there's a little bit of RNG involved. There's also some debate as to whether or not does an animal have to get close enough before it counts as the animal, like, or the food max. So like, say if this giraffe is killed here, does it actually count towards the limit? And really, I think it does, but I'm not sure. But I think as soon as an animal is attracted, it counts. But don't quote me on that because that's just an educated guess, but I'm not sure. That is actually kind of a nice thing for... Lure is kind of an underrated god power overall for Poseidon, is that it basically makes every map, gives him plenty of hunt in his base that has no walking distance, and that's huge. I like to talk about walking distance and also idle time right here for Shelty's villagers, but walking distance is huge. And okay, so we're getting these giraffes. Actually, what I've noticed is that the lure lured 2 of Moore's giraffe, which is also huge. That is a 1200 food swing when it comes to hunt. And I think it could have gotten these, but just by chance it attracted Moore's, which is actually pretty huge. A little bit of pressure here with Shelty pounding down the poor goat. The first kill in the semifinals that I'm watching is a poor goat. Or actually, no, I think maybe no, that oracle lives. So yeah, the first kill is a goat. Way to go. And the second kill might be a goat too, which I laugh, but actually, this isn't bad. Goats eventually fatten to 300 food, and right now they're sitting at just, he's costing him a decent amount of food here, and is up at a 420 with Ares. That's an interesting advance. He's obviously going to be going for a pestilence to prevent Moore from making units soon. Moore is actually very slow to... Oh, he's making it here. I feel like up here is a mistake, because Shelty is going to be able to pressure this pretty hard, and Moore's going to end up getting... Yeah, this is a bad move by Moore, because he's going to have to move his units off of here, because I think we're going to see a pestilence coming in very soon, and Moore is not going to be able to react, and both of his citizens are going to be idle for probably an extended time period. So yeah, there's our pestilence. If we get the Cyclops on the manor here, or killing the villager, that's also good. I don't know if we got a shockwave coming, but shoo, that is, oh man. Moore's acting like he's never seen a Ares push before with pestilence, but he might lose 2. Unless he gets well, he can't shockwave heroes. But nice path blocking with this scout. This is really, really good. He's going to lose 2 citizens, and that is 2 citizens he should never have lost. And I don't know what these Promethean are doing. Going to come in and die, or mostly die. So what I thought going in was maybe a slight advantage Oranos. Shelty has immediately turned this into a strong advantage Poseidon. And just really peculiar, the forward build here and keeping his citizens here for so long. I mean, I don't know what Moore anticipated, but to me, again, I'm watching, and it's very easy to watch and see what's going on. But to me, this was an obvious misplay for me. Hey, what's up, Mr. Gomez? Good to have you aboard. And so, yeah, now Moore losing 2 citizens very early on. I think he'll be in a little bit of a bind. Does get his valor used, but kind of a peculiar valor here in that he does not get a citizen in with it. Kind of a mistake. And oh, we've got the toss, the softball toss by the Cyclops, insta killing that Murmillo, and now fighting a fight he shouldn't fight. But you want to use your Valor with a citizen, because Valor does make your citizen gather about 10% faster. It's not quite 10%, but we can roughly estimate 10% faster. Also gives your villager or citizen more hit points. But yet, we've got a kind of a problem here, Mr. Moore does, in that one of his initial buildings gone, and this Cyclops is making quick work of the second, and he really can't afford to send any of his hero units down because they have to defend. And with no walling at all, he might end up getting pushed off of this wood line here, and he is. And yeah, that's Moore has lost both of his initial buildings, along with the almost entirely wasted mana right here. So, like, when we're talking as bad as a game could start, this is as bad of a game as you could see for Moore. And yeah, he has no rating at all. He actually right now has no military buildings, so he is remaking counter barracks and 2 counter barracks. So Poseidon Ares Rush, yes, and so far it has worked out very well. I would say not entirely based on the great. I mean, Shelty has played this well, but Moore is like played like if you're going to talk about a player who is playing right into the strategy, this is what Moore has done so far. And did spend the 300 resources to upgrade his towers. Got a Murmillo running down here just because. And actually, I think really Shelty could probably just sit on this gold mine at this point and cause a lot of problems. Looks like he's going to go for killing a manor, which isn't bad. I mean, that Cyclops. The Cyclops has a ton of crush damage, 12 crush and then 15 hack. Also looks like maybe he's got a once every 3-second attack, so you can kind of, each attack is multiplied by 3. But yeah, Shelty probably could move his army down here, and probably could have done it a while ago. Moore still does have shock. Well, no, he used a shockwave already. I think I might have missed the shockwave use or just forgot about it. Shelty needs to be careful. Probably not. This is probably a little too far. He could really just sit right here and only have 1 tower shooting at him and be able to prevent this. Shelty playing a little bit passively here. He will likely lose. Shockwave was under a tower as it upgraded. Okay, well, thank you. You guys sometimes, I think, pay more attention than I do. A little bit surprised Shelty is being this passive, but he has a huge advantage. He probably just doesn't want to throw it away. I mean, just look at the score difference. He's up 500 at 9 minutes. That's just a huge advantage. He got his medium cavalry. We've got these Terma running in at melee range just to pick off a archer, and we got a little bit of a surround, but nice little garrison here by Moore to get out of a bad situation. But he's still got his archer. Well, I guess they're just running away, but took a couple losses there that he didn't need to lose. But it's kind of splitting up though. That one Hippicon, and that'll handle that. But yeah, Shelty following a little bit, but again, he's just so far ahead he can kind of get out of position a little bit, and it won't really matter. But you can see a lot of chasing here without much damage being done to an army. And we got a few Promethean just pooped out of the temple there, so kind of nice to hide them. I feel like Shelty's kind of in a very bad spot here. He's under 2 towers and a town center, and got his cavalry fighting Murmillo and Promethean, and the Terma over here on the archers. So this is really bad positioning for Shelty. As we can see, he's got a retreat just like that. Also lost his Cyclops for little damage done. And yeah, that fight there was a complete disaster for Shelty. Wow. Yeah, we could see he was up 400 points and now is only up 100. Not so good with that fight. Still ahead. He's got tons of villagers. Got quite a bit of a villager advantage killing those 2 early, but bad fight there for him to take. And now we've got more going on, kind of a counter offensive. He knows he can do that because he badly won, or well, not badly for him, but easily won that exchange right there. Needs to be careful. Picked off 2 Terma, and I think maybe or not two Taxotes, and lost a Terma. But a little bit of ace around here. Okay. Just runs and reverts, and Terma do move fast enough at full speed. They will avoid archer fire, so long as they aren't getting slowed down by attacking melee. there is kind of a hidden feature in Age of Mythology that generally exists, that when a unit gets attacked by a melee unit, they will typically lose a little bit of their speed. It's kind of hidden deep down into the game files. So that's why these Tourney you see when they got targeted there by, I think, the hoplite, they kind of slowed down a little bit. But I'm kind of surprised that Moore kind of got moved all the way back to his base. I feel like, especially with line of sight of this gold mine. Okay, so his Oracle a little bit out of position, but there are some villagers just popping in line of sight. But I guess Seymour's kind of in the challenge here. Is if he attacks, he could get choked out of his gold here. And so he's kind of afraid to raid because he's afraid of a counter attack. So it's kind of a, quite on the teeter-totter here. Does Moore attack or does he stay back? And it looks like he's maybe trying to raid with just a few units, but Shelty very far offensive. It'd almost be helpful for him to like put a wall right here. That way, in case he doesn't engage and it starts going badly for him, he can just duck behind a wall. And oh man, Moore is getting full line of sight of this town center grab. And hey, how's it going? It's going good. We just started. You are on the first game. Just joined for the first game of the semifinals, which is pool play. And this right now is Moore champion against Shelty playing under his back in action name. Yeah, very passive now. So we saw some excitement early. Shelty's first base Moore's first base demolished. And then Shelty really misplayed and lost a ton of units inside Moore's base. And now we see the Shelty getting picked off heavily here. And we will see the curse of slow units, and that Determa can just kind of pick off Toxotes after Toxotes. One down, should be able to get this next one. Oh, got all three of them. Nice to pick that off. And Shelty got that town center, but now fighting some very poor fights, and we might see him get knocked off of this gold mine if Moore can play this right. But he's kind of mismanaging for no reason his troops here. Did not use any range. Nice shockwave, but he's got his cheater ballista shooting at cavalry instead of hoplite, and this might go very badly for Moore. We got a Cyclops and no heroes. Okay, now we have a heroes. Cyclops gets a softball throw. Yeah, this fight is going dreadful for Moore. And yeesh. Talk about Game of Thrones. This is the Game of Throws, and Moore badly lost that fight. Will probably continue to badly lose because the Cyclops at 650 hit points with 50% hack and pierce armor is an absolute tank. And there he is, insta-killing another. So, I like how the entire throw is just completely slow motion. Even the throwing in the air is slow. But wow, Moore is getting absolutely demolished. And I see your question in chat. Moore plays Oranos mostly. Shelty kind of historically is a Loki player, but has kind of changed. Normally in this tournament, I think he's been playing a lot of Set. This is probably his first Poseidon all tournament. I'd say it's not a common god for him. But man, well, we see a huge problem. Moore has no heroes, and we still have this Cyclops, more than 50% hit points. There he is, insta-killing another unit. Slowly throws the Murmillo with the loud sound effects when it lands. Man, this Cyclops is just completely tanking 5 units and winning. And his special will be up soon, and he'll probably be grabbing a Murmillo. Nope. Shelty's got to retreat. He's kind of got all of his units pooling up right here. But yeah, very bad fight for Moore to take, and continuing to lose a lot of units. And falling behind now that Shelty has 2 town centers. I mean, as long as Shelty just keeps battles even, he will win because he's got 2 town centers. So a little bit of misplay with these Toxotes here chasing after, and they're very badly positioned. Another insta-kill. This Cyclops is like single-handed, and we see all the splash damage that the Cyclops does. So again, kind of a part of Age of Mythology you don't see very often is that when the Cyclops throws a unit, where it lands does a little bit of splash damage. So like if you get lucky and the Cyclops decides to throw the falling unit right in the middle of some units, it'll do splash damage. It's not a ton. I think it actually does more crush armor or crush damage than like hack. Like it'll actually do a decent, well, I mean not, some it'll do more damage to a building than it will to units. But now we've got another Cyclops and Shelty. Okay, so Moore has one Valor yet, but it's at this point you got so many Toxotes they can pick out the heroes. It's going to be hard for Shelty or Moore to do much, and we've got it looks like Moore is coming up here to try to stop this town center. He does just have it in line of sight. But I think with Moore or Shelty following, I keep mixing these guys up. With more Shelty following, he won't be able to stop this. And in fact, it might get up before he can do a whole lot. I mean, yeah, you might kill, nope, not even kill a villager. He's got to run with the follow. So yeah, we're going to have Shelty at 3 town centers and Moore stuck at 1. It looks like he's trying to age up. Probably will maybe go up with... not Thea, but Hyperion, I would think would probably be the better choice here to get a curse or a chaos on. And for those new, try to get no spoilers in chat. That would be awesome. Ooh, nice little raid here. That will, maybe okay. Yeah, right. Well, not killing vills, but keeping them idle. But I think Hyperion. Are we seeing Hyperion? No, we're seeing Thea. I would think a Hyperion would be better here, but. It's alright. Hyperion, the Satyr are really good, especially against units that get packed in together, like the smaller barracks and archery range units from the Greek. But also you've got, not Curse, it's Chaos that can get 4 military units and then a myth unit, which would probably be pretty good in this situation. Uh-oh, I'm going to get 2 Toxotes just picked off right here. 1 down and 1 almost. There he goes. So 2 picked off, but Moore might be in a bit of a problem here. I don't know if he's got the army to fend this off, but Shelty just kind of trying to reposition his troops and do strange things. What kind of eco upgrades we got? Okay, first line for him and first line for Shelty, but now we've got these tough, well, this one's almost dead, so almost gone. But yeah, I feel like once you kill this one, you use Chaos and come in with your couple, maybe two Satyr, and you could probably, Moore could probably win this. Got his units a little bit out of position here. He's gonna have to do a lot of idle time. Trying to get a fortress up. Yeah, very late night show. I'll be here for probably another 3 hours. We'll do this series and then one more. Oh, we also got Aphrodite, so we've got Curse v Chaos coming up shortly. I don't know why this Cyclops hasn't been killed yet. Oh, so we have the Curse used to get not a ton of units actually, 6 Terma, but we've still got these Cyclops roaming around. Not really doing a more idiot. No. Alright, so the only hero is down, so this will be a pretty decent win here as far as Moore will be able to fight this off. But again, we're just talking, as long as Shelty keeps fights even, he'll win because he's at 3 town centers, and actually now, while I've got line of sight on Moore, he is now 4 town centers to just 1. So, sure, Moore gets this down. Yeah. I mean, Curse does more damage overall, but yeah, I mean the 3 Chaos spread out better. But on the other hand, I mean, when it comes to comparing the two, you get some pretty good technologies with Aphrodite as opposed to Hyperion. Well, one charge of Curse I mean, I guess it depends on what you're looking at. I mean, your chaos can be really sucky depending on which units it gets. Curse is based on hit points, so it depends. But more is kind of ineptly operating as units here. So it just kind of depends what you're facing. Like theoretically, if you're facing a Migdal army, Chaos is definitely better because it gets 4 units regardless of their hit points. Curse in that situation, if it gets 3 elephants, maybe even 2, it's done. So yeah, in that situation, Chaos better. But Hyperion also gives like no lasting myth units, or not myth units, no lasting technologies. Which Aphrodite gets some really good ones. But as far as the game itself, you got Shelty now pushing again on this base. Eventually, he'll just be able to do Fort Town Center and just. I mean, he's just got such a larger army. And why is Moore not conceding? Who knows? He could. Yeah. I mean, that Sigma writes, in the chat. That's the difference that you could see in a chaos, depending on what you're facing. But yeah, Chaos, I mean, overall, Chaos has a better god power because you get 3 charges. But Moore keeps winning the fights, but he's losing everywhere else. I mean, Shelty could, like, just do a militia rush at this point and win. Just because Moore just losing those 2 citizens, like, as close as the game is, kind of, or as close as it was kind of towards the 15-minute mark, if Moore wouldn't have just, like, lost his forward base and his 2 citizens at the 6-minute mark. I mean, to me, going into this game, this is a matchup that the Oranos should win. But Shelty played this very well. Very nice early pressure. Moore is going for the 1 town center all game strategy. Got the Pierce technology. Moore actually got a few techs upgrades. Using Cairo Ballista. I guess he's going to die on that Cairo Ballista, a really good sword. Which they have their uses, but why hops instead of hips? I mean, probably he could be doing hip pacifist and doing better here, but at the villagers on the Cairo Ballista, you getting their siege attack bonus. But again, at this point, I mean, Shelty could do whatever they want. We got Earthquake, goodbye buildings, and Fortress and Gold Mine at the same time. And you might be thinking, what is Moore going to do next? I think probably the only thing he can do is hit the resign button. And I would anticipate a very resign coming very, very shortly. Come on, Moore. So well played. There it is. So well played by Shelty, and he gets off to the 1-0 start here. Shelty 1, Moore 0. So real quick, because I see there's a few people in chat that weren't here earlier, just remember that this semifinals is a group stage. And here's our kind of group stage graph or bracket. So every player plays each other player in a best-of-5 series. The top 2 players at the end will advance. If there's a tiebreaker, the first one, like say there's 2 players tied for the second spot, head-to-head victory will make that tiebreaker in case there's 3 people, which could happen if there's 3 people tied for maybe the second spot. In that case, the individual number of game wins. So say a player wins or a player loses a series 3-2, it counts those 2 losses in that. So it's more value to lose 3-2 as it is 3-0 in the tiebreaker. Did I make that? I did make that. Very high quality paint production here. I tried just to do an Excel thing, but I wasn't liking the way it did, so I did a very geometrical paint. Drawing out the lines. This is only the best special effects and PowerPoints that we can have on this stream. I will present to you guys. So we'll take a quick look at the post game. We will see the very 2 early dead vills, which result in a very straight line for Moore's economy. Eco actually, despite that, remained even, but then had that really, really poor fight in the middle of the game, or right here at the 14-minute mark, where he just kept on losing units, and then at that point, whatever chance Moore had to catch up was gone. So the game actually towards the middle is a little closer than I thought it would be. In the end, Shelty victorious. So we are looking for game 2. Shelty versus Moore. I don't know what they're doing with their gods. I don't know if it's a gentleman's agreement. But we've got an Odin versus Odin on Frozen Waste. This is, again, not anticipating this matchup. And just look at the Great Hunt. Ends up in all of these caribou. As I like to say, toodaloo, caribou. So game 2. Odin v. Odin, Frozen Waste. Frozen Waste, not a game that shipped with, or not a map that shipped with the game. It was custom made by Rebel Rising, based on kind of design or ideas, I think, by Keen Flame. And we came up with this, kind of Midgard but frozen. And instead of fish on the ice, where the water would be on Midgard, we got goaties. So we've got goats scattered on the ice, and it actually looks like kind of a low amount of goats. The goat amount can kind of vary, and not really a whole lot of goats. I think it's just 2 packs per player, and it can kind of go up a lot more. Talking about the middle of the map, each player will get a elk spawn and a walrus spawn. So we've got our walrus here, we've got elk down here, your starting caribou, and we've actually got a double elk spawn on this map. I believe these can either be just 1 pack or 2 per player, and we've got 2 per player. So this is some pretty high hunt. This is standard for Frozen Wastes. We did see that Shelty kind of saved his Great Hunt for a little bit later. He valued using it on the goats. So say you use it. Great Hunt, like most god powers, is hit point based. It will create a certain number of new animals based on the amount of hit points that they contain. Or no, I think this is food based. It will do the certain amount of food, not hit points. Food. I forget what the limit is. 800, 900, something like that, 1,000, I don't know. But if you do it in your goats, you kind of get more value out of it because they only count for, say, 60 food at this point, but then they'll eventually fatten up to 300. So it's kind of beneficial to throw that in with your caribou. Or, yeah, these are the caribou, I think. Yeah, caribou. I always thought it'd be cool to ride a caribou. Just go out there in Scandinavia, find a caribou, and just jump on it and see what happens. I'm sure it would end very well. Shelty with a lot of unit villagers on gold. He's got 5, and, well, I guess compared to just 4 for more. So as we see the gold mine, I didn't quite touch on the gold mines yet. They're scattered around the edge of the map. The edge of the, at least the edge of the snow, and each player starts with 2 in their base. So later on, the gold mines, after your first 2 run out, can be pretty significant, and actually they are kind of all clustered down towards the bottom. Just 2 in the top half of the map, and then 4 down on the bottom. Town centers are pretty forward. Shelty's got one kind of smack dab in the middle of the map. Moore's are just slightly more back, but this one's still kind of forward. And Shelty with a slight bit of a forward build. Moore is more defensive. So, kind of historically, you're talking back in the olden days, you would see raiding cavalry. But at one point, for better or for worse, the patch added a cavalry bonus to Ulfsarks, because actually they don't have any, even though there's kind of a cavalry counter, so to speak, though usually they don't become a counter until you get your Bragi upgrades for them, but they get 10% bonus against cavalry now, which kind of makes in the Odin v Odin battle, you make raiding cavalry, and it's not a good idea because Ulfsarks will beat them. Shelty is combining his ox cart here, whereas Moore is having to build 3. So I would anticipate we will see a lot of Ulfsarks, and actually Moore already has 2 Ulfsarks. Looks like he made a second from his town center. And looking at line of sight for each player, you will get your ravens out very early. So a little bit of raven scouting by both players. Looks like Moore kind of has a little bit more of the map scouted than Shelty does. Moore has 7 goats to Shelty's 9. I think there maybe are just a couple more. Yeah, there's still just a few more scattered. So both up with Freya. Pretty standard. We'll probably try to see an early forest fire that's used just to get units idle. Actually, this forest fire here wouldn't be too bad. Well, actually maybe not so useful anymore. Yeah. Would be nice, at least if Moore does forest fire here, he will make Shelty have to build another ox cart, at least once these animals are done. So we do have a forest fire up here. And Shelty is just almost losing his Valkyrie. Does pick off a Hersier. Kind of an even trade. I guess Moore's Valkyrie is almost dead. I'm surprised Moore is waiting so long to use Forest Fire. He should use it like probably 10 seconds ago right here, because it would get now both Hunt and Wood idle. I don't know what Moore is waiting for. If he used Forest Fire, he'd kill a house, but that's not worth it. Like, he has full line of sight of this. I'm not sure what he's waiting for. Like, the sooner you can... okay, that won't quite die. The earlier in the game you can make units idle, villagers idle, the better. So, you should have done this right away. But that's alright. Got a little Ulfsark v Ulfsark battle. I don't know if Moore's going to end up like using it here. This is actually a winning fight now for Moore. Does get 3 kills and does not lose any. Also, Moore used it here. He used it to kill 1 house. That's... I mean, shoot, he uses it here and he requires Shelty to make a 100-unit ox cart, so he killed a 40 wood house when he could have at least required a 100-unit or 100 food or 100 resource ox cart. So yeah, the forest fire really doesn't accomplish much here. But more actually, Shelty kind of tempting him with the army fights here, but actually this is going okay for Moore. Though he's got a lot of units needlessly attacking the temple. I know we have the throwing axemen, which will come in big. Unless Moore can get a surround on him. Throwing axemen do get a huge attack bonus against infantry, but not a lot of hit points. So far Moore's actually taken the aggression, but he has just now gotten line of sight of these villagers here. Oh, he wants to pick off... Oh, not quite picking off the unit. So one thing that Odin does have is a... Oh, nice raid here by Moore. Moore is doing some good fights here. But needs to be careful. Okay. So Moore has forced Shelty off of Hunt. But it looks like he is still going pure Ulfsark. And Shelty has some throwing axemen. So what Moore needs to be careful of, because Shelty is making... Not ox. Did I say ox cart? I mean axemen. I think I did say ox cart. Moore needs to be careful that he does not actually do any head-to-head fights, because if he tries to go head up against throwing axemen and now this Valkyrie, he will lose. He needs to do raids instead. And he's actually kind of behind now, mysteriously, in army numbers. And this army now, Moore actually badly loses this fight. We can see these throwing axemen just absolutely massacring right now. And Moore has no answer to this because he has no axemen of his... He only has 1 throwing axeman and only has 2 Hersier. And the throwing axeman can target the Hersier. There you go. Move your Valk. Okay. Get this one. And now the Valk will completely dominate and Moore will lose this fight. Yeah. We're just a little bit too slow to prepare for the throwing axeman. And now he is building raiding cavalry, which would do well against throwing axemen, but they're coming out just a little bit too late. And Norse wars are kind of, especially in the classical age, are pretty snowbally, where once one unit or once one player gets the advantage, it can be over quick. And that's it. Just like that. That's a quick 9-inning game. Wow. Started out looking, again, really good for more, but then Shelty, with probably the little bit more experience and knowledge in this matchup, knew that if he was to change to throwing axemen first, he would be able to win that fight. So what Moore needed to do, once he realized he was well out of, well, his army was, I mean, just complete military disadvantage, needed not to fight. But the problem was, because he forward built right here, he kind of had to fight, and he also had all of his villagers here. But I feel like Moore could have kind of stalled a little bit and not fought this fight. I don't know if he thought it would be a winning fight, but man, that Valkyrie and those throwing axemen just completely dominated in that fight. So that is a 2-0 now for Shelty. And yeah, we can see even as far as units, but the count way down. 40 units killed at the 28, and that is now a 2-0 to Mr. Shelty. And again, this is a best of 5, so this next game will be a match point for our first best of 5 series in the semifinals. And again, it is pool play, not head to head. Where am I looking at here? This one? Alrighty. Now game 3, Shelty versus Moore. And on our left, we've got Shelty. He is sticking with his Odin. On the right is Moore, and he is back to Oranos. On Alfheim, which can vary considerably in hunt, and Shelty got very good early line of sight of his hunt, gets the great hunt both on cows and his elk, and now has a decent amount of hunt to talk of. So let's take a look. I'm always very interested when it comes to hunt on Alfheim, because it can vary so differently here. Now, looking at the hunt, I am seeing a pretty, in fact, a very low hunt Alfheim. We are not seeing any aurochs, and instead we are seeing a 2 elk spawn, which could instead be 2 aurochs, I think. Or maybe the aurochs are in place of the deer. I always forget exactly without looking at the files. But very low hunt for our players here. But with great hunt, Moore can get enough, or not Moore, Shelty can get enough hunt to survive for quite a while. And then also with all of these cows, and you also have chicken and berry and Alfheim. So you have plenty of natural resources to fall back on once hunt runs out. So on this matchup, Oranos v. Odin. You talk about back in the day, and Oranos would win this going away. But now with some of the patch changes, Odin getting buffed a little bit. Odin's a little bit better, although actually not a ton has changed, but just kind of overall, Odin gets a little better in this matchup. The 4-second shockwave would absolutely decimate Odin. We got some commentary in the chat about point sitting on the ladder. I made some comments about that the other day. I tell you what, though, every time I log on to Voobly, Chemo floods my inbox with messages about point sitting, and I guess if he's bored and he feels the need to send me lots of messages, he can send them and I can ignore him. It's just, it's just badly written English involving decay and how I need to decay everybody. And I haven't the heart. Well, I do have the heart. Actually, it's more fun to ignore him because even if I respond, he just says the same thing anyway. So I just ignore him and I don't really read it. Well, actually, I do read it, but I really don't read but listen. Um, but yeah, I mean, I'm sorry, but I've spent time in the past monitoring the 1v1 ladder and spending time on it, and it's a lot of work with not a lot of result. It's just annoying. So here we stand. I'll look into it, maybe. But the last I looked, at least Squash was technically within the realms of not needing to be decayed. But anyway. What little he doesn't understand is that Blackadder doesn't do anything with the rating system on Voobly, so Blackadder doesn't care either. It's mainly me. Just put him on ignore. Okay, so we're looking at on this map here. So Shelter. Anyway, let's talk about the game. We got more champion up at pre-4 minutes. Obviously wanting to get some very early aggression on Mr. Shelty, who got off of his hunt and now is just sitting around eating his pork chicken, and maybe will fall back to his berries before going to all of his cattle. He's got a lot of cattle. I think he'll probably actually get husbandry probably fairly soon in classical age. Make those bad boys fatten up faster and then eat them faster. Up with Freya, that's pretty standard. Barracks, counter barracks, so we'll see Terma, Vermillo, Promethean probably. Some nice little walls here from Shelty to keep more out of his base. And Shelty's key will just be to not let his units get picked off. That is kind of the... Can you check if more cancel citizen to get Murmillo? What am I supposed to look? He's at 50% right now, which I think is probably slow. So I think he probably did delay a citizen, because I think this is his first citizen to be trained after Archaic Age. Maybe, I'm not sure. Maybe he already did get his first one, but I think he's sitting at 0% right now. Now he's just starting, so. But yeah, Shelty will want to not get picked off. That is the danger going Ulfsark into this army, is that if he gets his Ulfsarks out of position, the Terma can pick them off one by one and keep Shelty's military down. Shelty kind of wants to fight kind of bigger population battles, I think, as opposed to smaller ones where you can get picked off easier. We got this Valkyrie showing up right next to this citizen who will just calmly take the damage and continue to eat chicken. Quite the drama. Do we have husbandry researched yet? No, we don't even actually have anything other than hunting dogs for Shelty, who is playing this very passively. And actually, I feel like more is maybe should be doing this a little bit more aggressive than what he's doing. Yeah, I think Sigma, like, I don't know what if he's in university or already graduated, but he must have. Sigma does a pretty good job of translating both Chemo and Trueloke. I don't know if he's like doing some sort of master's in language translation, but he does a pretty good job. He is our go-to translator in the Age of Mythology world. So Shelty is holding on to his forest fire, and it took a lot of damage on his Valkyrie there. Which con do I prefer? Oh, Trueloke for sure. Trueloke, like, Chemo, I don't think has an actual sense of humor. Like, he never says anything that to me is very funny. But True Loke, although he is a clown, but he is at least a funny clown. And some of the stuff he says really gets me going. It really entertains me. That guy that guy has no filter, and he says some stuff that I would never say. But it's funny. So okay, we've got probably our first brawl coming up here. Actually, Shelty might as well just fall back and start eating his cattle. He's got a ton. Would like to see him get husbandry soon. Not getting it. No husbandry yet. I wonder if he's going to upgrade his towers, because he can actually sit at his base for a decent amount. Talking about picking off units. We got this throwing axeman come wandering over here from nowhere. We do have a double pack of Ulfsark out raiding. Actually, very strategical that Shelty is doing this, because head-to-head, his army loses to Shelty, or to Moore, but he is forcing Moore to be defensive just by sending these two packs forward. Needs to be careful. Getting almost... Okay, might not lose any units. He did not, but this is a mistake right now that Moore is doing. He is sending his entire army back to react to this raid, which is giving Shelty free time to gather resources, while Moore actually has the military advantage. And does he have... Okay, he did get Lone Wanderer, which gives plus 0.5 speed to his Ulfsarks. And actually now Shelty wants to fight this with all these units, not just the... Ooh, he got one hero and almost another. And yeah, these raiding, he's got like Shelty's got 3 different groups of raiding Ulfsarks. Gotta watch you. Watch yourself. Watch your Terma. Oop, okay. Alright, they went around. What is Moore doing? You guys filling my chat with obscene commentary. Shelty just sitting very calmly, gathering resources, watching there's Mermillo just kind of wander right in. What kind of relics we got anyway? Heroes do more damage than myth units. Not bad relic. That's really the main one that's of use. So far, Moore has been looking for places to raid, and he has not found any. Though we now have the early game vulnerable spot when you're facing the Oranos is when that first gold mine ends. And Moore is showing up very timely at this gold mine. And we'll get on a raid. Probably. Oh man, look at this though. So Shelty's being very bold here. Fighting Stream Snipe confirmed. Okay, so Shelty is sending some of his army back. I don't know what Moore is doing here, why he is shooting at a raven when you got all these villagers down here very happily mining, and now Moore is forced to run. He could have in this time killed this ox cart. Instead he killed a throwing axeman, targeted an Odin or a raven, and now running away. And losing buildings up here. I think he lost 2 manors and is building a tower back here because he's killing a house. Why? Oh boy, he just killed a 40 resource building, and now he's gonna do another one when you got this sitting right here. Very peculiar. So 2 houses down. And he's up with... Okay, up with Thea, so kind of a semi-quick heroic. The bird will do some damage. Let's see if Shelty responds and gets the throwing axeman technology. Okay, I don't know why my mouse is suddenly not scrolling here. Alright, now we're scrolling again. I'm not sure the fast heroic in this situation is the best thing to do. I don't know if he really gets a lot of benefit out of this. I guess if he can get a ton of birds and absolutely massacre. Let's see what Shelty's doing. I'm almost wondering if Shelty is
has enough. Ooh, not close to advancing yet. But, yeah, the satyr here, as I briefly talked yesterday, or not yesterday, earlier in the day, is they do very well against close packed units, and with Shelty having all infantry, would in any fight get very closely packed, which would make their special do a ton of damage. I mean, the birds will still do a lot of damage too, but not as good, I feel like. And more going full on melee mode with his units here. Okay, he does have bonus damage versus flying units, and now is forced to retreat his birds. Yeah, I feel like, especially against Odin, man, you get these sacks here, and with the slow hearse here, I don't know if the Odin player has an answer to that. And instead, he's getting his birds pegged down by these 5 throwing axemen. This is, as long as he can... Oh, man, he shockwave the throwing axemen, not the Ulfsarks. It's still a good fight for more, as long as... he needs some more meat shield, though. Because these, once they run into... Shelty's losing a lot, though. Like, Shelty really needs to kind of all in and win this. And he's not quite... Nope, not quite going to hold. How is Shelty with aging up, though? Not aging up yet. Is he trying to? No. Building farms. A lot of them. What's he at for resource? Oh, he's... Oh! So he wanted to age up, but he ended up being 50 food short when this cow ran out. So that hurts. That will delay his time by quite a bit. Now he's down to 100 because he made the ox cart, and might as well make a dwarf or something. Yeah, now he's making it short, but he was 50 food short of hitting that click age up button. We're going really heavy on the gold. I think he's wanting to get a lot of dryads out. I assume Shelty will age up with the Frost Lady, Scotty, and it looks like he is. What civ is the strongest right now? Probably Set. Just because Set is so reliably strong on most every matchup. Like, Set probably doesn't really have a specific weakness, which makes Set a hard win in any map or any matchup. Okay, we got these dryads coming in here. More armies. He's got like half of it here, half of it here, half of it here, which makes 3 halves. Like, more could push here, but like his army is all different places. Like, now he's got his Murmillo over here dying to the throwing axemen, and now this army is coming up here, and like more if more pushes through here. Ooh, a frost. I think he's doing it so he can get this town center. Yeah. You know, I don't know. I think maybe Shelty would win anyway, but not a bad idea. Looks like he's also doing it to get his get his hunt here too. Okay. It's going forward. It's nice to see him go forward, but needs to be careful here. And okay, there he goes. Does target the Murmillo, and is now kind of ignoring all of this and marching forward. I think he wants to prevent this town center, which if he can do that, that would be huge. And will he? Getting path blocked right here. Okay, he's got because he needs the frost giant to come up here and frost or freeze one of these citizens. Whew. Man, if Morlik had just one, instead of like panic building this fortress, if he panics builds this, oh, I would have liked to seen the frost giant get his special work put in here. And I don't know, this fight, I'm undecided as far as who this is better for. I feel like Shelty is maybe losing too many units just to delay this town center, but if he can keep the pressure up, which I did kill the last of the bird, okay. Yeah, Shelty lost a lot there. Magic agrees with me. Yes, Magic agrees with me. My life is complete. Turn the stream off right now. Look at all these Frost Giant, though. Because Mora has kind of incompetently lost all of his birds. In fact, I think he had 3, and now he's down to 0. He's going to have a hard time with the Frost Giants. And Shelty is making a market, which he might be going for the rag. His Magic also put in chat. How are we looking for his eco? 450, 390. How is that tier 2? Blackadder. Yeah, Blackadder is a very strong-willed person. Okay, so we get the eco drop there. Oh, he's 100 short of his age up. So yeah, he is going for the semi-fast mythic here. Not really, I guess not really fast at 18 minutes, but he's kind of doing the sit back and age up there. I learned to be very politically correct for my job. Very important to be very politically correct. Because you say one dumb thing and then you're racist. In fact, sometimes you don't even have to say anything and you're racist. Just be there. Oh, we got a little bit of a raid that will kind of accomplish nothing here. Moore's got a getting his army well out of position. Man, we get a few breaths on these units here. Yeah, in some situations, you are correct. Alright, well, I mean, I guess every villager he kills is one fewer Ragnarok. But, you know, I think it would be cool to have breath that freezes things. Like, that'd be pretty awesome. Yeah, Moore's kind of doing nothing now. I'm really, at this point, not sure what more... I don't know. What should he really be doing? Like, I don't know. But I think if he's I think what he should be doing is probably the opposite of this. Because this random push here, just, I mean, what is his end goal here? I would think at this point he has to assume with Shelty being so defensive that there's a Ragnarok coming. And I feel like just picking off a few houses, just nothing. I think he should have probably... I think the problem is it is a long way around. I mean, at least park on a mine or something and do some damage. But I just don't know. I mean, I know the reg here isn't the super strongest, but with Moore only being at 2 town centers, I don't think he's quite prepared for this. He is getting his building upgrade. That's good. But still, it's a pretty strong push here. Getting 3 towers probably should have been built on this side of the town center. No, he's not. I think he is a year or 2 older than me. I think he's early 30s. But yeah, I don't know why you would build your towers on the front end. He lives rent-free in all your... Oh yeah, we have no god powers other than we do have a shockwave, but got 2 fortresses here that are dying, and yeah. Tried desperately to defend this, but I think he's just getting rolled by this Ragnarok. Yeah, he's gonna be losing his base, and got some. Well, just hope that's it. GG 3-0. Wow. More was, I feel like, just too passive on this game, and you just, if you're even with an Odin, the Ragnarok will roll you over, and he's just too passive and never did enough damage. What does Blackadder do for life? I forget. I think it's something. Oh, it's internet related. It's what is this you're putting? Let me pee. All right, because of you guys, I probably made a mess on the bathroom floor because I was laughing the entire time I was peeing. Keen the card game. The Welfare Princess Chemo. Summon monthly leech money. Minus 50. Yo, there were a few. I think they got out of making these cards, but there were a few pretty good cards that they made. Anyway. Oh, you guys. There's some characters in the Age of Mythology community. Now we will proceed to just spam the chat with these big old pictures. Alrighty, so that is game, or not game one. That's game 3. So that is our first series in the group stage semifinals. And for those of you wondering, let me move my little chat box over to the side. We can gaze at this over here. So again, these semifinals is a round robin, not head to head. So we have reached our first match here, the culmination of the first match, and I will maybe at the end of the stream I'll open this up with paint and put in a 3-0 for Shelty versus Moore, and we will now move into our next matchup here. What are my predictions? So I'll tell you what my predictions were. I gave my prediction at the beginning of the I gave my prediction at the beginning of the stream. My predictions is that Moore was the man out. To me, he was the step behind there all the other 3 players as far as skill wise. So Moore is the easy 4th place prediction for me. My 3rd place prediction was Joe. My 2nd was Player, and my 1st was Shelty. I feel like for some reason, and I really don't know why, that Shelty always overperforms. And I'm not really sure why, because I don't think, like skill-wise, I think he's below Player and Joe, but he just always like wins stuff. Like I would never have thought he would have been in the semifinal or in the finals for last tournament, or actually I never thought Joe would have either. I thought Player was very unfortunate that he did not. I feel like Player should have been in the finals last tournament. But anyway, yes. So Shelty to me, I guess maybe I just remember him when he only played Loki and wasn't very good. But like he just always overperforms. So maybe at this point I should just kind of figure that he's not overperforming anymore. That's what he does. But I feel like Joe winning the last tournament was a bit of an overperformance for him as well. I think that was maybe a little bit of a fluke. He's still good. All these players are good. But that is my maybe wrong reasoning for why I think that Shelty will finish the group stage first. Player second, Joe third, more fourth. Player is just a solid player all around. He's just so consistent. But yeah, that's what I think. And if you're going specifically for matches, I don't think Moore will win a match. I think he's going to be 0-3. I think I don't know. Joe, I think will just win one match. And then, I think Shelty will manage to win all 3 matches, like 3-2, except for, well, this one. But I think he'll like barely beat Player, barely beat Joe. And then I think Player will handily beat Moore and handily beat Joe. And that'll get your first, second, third, fourth. Okay, so our tradition of, oh dang it, now my chat box is messed up. I hate it when it does this. So I'm going to need to re-evaluate my life and get this chat box. I'm gonna have to close this thing out and restart it. It's a great little thing, this little chat box that I got, but sometimes it bugs out and doesn't quite work as it should. So I will narrow it back down to its appropriate size, get it lined up, launch back to Age of Mythology. Oh, I cannot forget, I need to update my little bracket thing here. And we are moving on to my second and final best of 3 match tonight, or best of 5 match, I mean. Player versus Joe. So all the quarterfinals were 3-0. Every time I see my desktop Sigma, I think about that. And I'm like, I've had this computer now for a year and a half, and I still have the default background. And why haven't I changed it? I don't know. Oh, hey, because you guys are here, though, and I'm very proud of my children. Here, let me get you... Oh, no, that's the wrong picture. Let me get you... Here's the Cam and the Ava. My 2 kids. Look at them. The normal effect that he has on his sister. Like any good big brother, always making his little sister cry. So there you go. He is, I tell you what, Cam is... He is a wimp. Oh man, it's so annoying. He bumps his leg, and you think like he cut his leg off. He just cries and cries and moans. I take a toy away from him because he's throwing it. He cries and cries and moans. He's a huge wimp. He needs to toughen up. I need to get him in like I don't know, some boot camp or something. But anyway, do I have my, wait, let me make sure I got my overlaid right. Okay, Player versus Joe. We're good. I will have to get this back. Give him a few days online with Uncle Magic. Yeah, he needs to get toughened up. Wow, this chat box is a little too big here. But he's a good kid. He is. I love my kids. Oh, and while you asked me, I kind of apologize, Magic. He asked me a couple questions the other day, and I tried to answer, and then I was playing a game, and I've realized as I stream that like trying to have a conversation and playing is so hard, and it results in me poorly talking and having a very bad conversation, and then B, really sucking in game, and it ruins both. But yeah, my biggest regret in life up to this point is not traveling more before I had kids. Kids makes it so hard to really go and do anything. I mean, theoretically, we could still travel. I mean, they're 4 and a baby, and you could still do stuff, but not really. Like, I mean, obviously, I can't go like internationally with a baby, and we could do little trips. But then the problem is when you're out on little trips, so much of your time is spent watching your kids. Like, we take Cam somewhere, and I have to spend half the time making sure he doesn't kill himself. Like when we went to St. Louis for 4 days last year, we're in a strange place. I got to make sure he's not off running around the train tracks, getting flattened by a train, running on the highway. And it's just so hard to kind of enjoy yourself as an adult because you're busy watching your kids and trying to make sure they don't kill themselves on a vacation. But having said all that, kids are awesome. It's just you got to be ready. Like once you have kids, kind of the responsibility just comes in, and it kind of ruins adult things or like But I wouldn't trade them for anything. Leave them home with a wife and go for a trip. Man, that would never happen. I tell you what. Yeah, I would never be able to get that to go through. But get this. Get this. When you talk about business or trips, leaving them home with a wife. So last year, 2 years ago, it must have been 2 years. Yeah, 2 summers ago. My wife works for this lady like part-time. She does like home care for this lady. She's disabled physically. And my wife conned this lady into paying for my wife to go with the lady to Costa Rica on a week-long trip while Cam is left for me and I'm taking vacation time off of work to stay at home and watch my kid while my wife is in Costa Rica. Paid for by the lady she watches. That's fine. But if I like try to go to like a baseball game, it's like, well, maybe if you do this and this and this and this the week before. But no, hey, I'm going to go to Costa Rica, okay? You're going to watch Cam for a week. Well, okay, I guess. Let me take vacation time off of work to stay at home and watch my kid. Not complaining about my kid, but more so that's just what happens. And I love my wife, but yes, once you get married, you gotta get ready for stuff like that. Anyway, I could go on for a while about relationship and stuff like that, but yeah, I love my wife, I love my kids, but growing up and having a family, there's some downside to it. I love my wife, but I love her. She's awesome. How often do I fight with? Man, you keep asking questions, and I know if I start streaming, I'll get distracted. We don't really fight. We have there's some arguments, but we do pretty good. Do I believe in domestic violence? What kind of a stupid question is that? I've learned the arguments never really work. It just ends with everybody being mad with no resolution. It's kind of like arguments on Age of Mythology. I mean, let's be real. You can argue and argue and argue, and everybody just ends mad. I mean, it's just arguments in general. But no, I'm pretty laid back. Really, I kind of let her do what she wants, and it really doesn't matter. I'm a pretty easygoing person. So if she wants to go to Costa Rica for a week, I complain about it, but really it didn't really bother me. I mean, I actually did some fun. It wasn't a bad thing being home alone with my son and getting out and doing stuff with him. Kind of daddy son time. But what I'd like to do at some point, maybe when he's a little older, is like do like a train ride, like go out to like Denver with Cam. And do spend a couple days in Denver and then ride like the Amtrak back to Chicago. That'd be pretty fun to do something like that because he likes trains. But we'd probably at 4, he's probably sitting in the train for a little bit too long. Would be a little. Does he call me daddy? He actually. Let's see. I'm gonna have to think about it now because it's so natural. So when he was younger, he used to call me Daddy Josh. Just because that's what I had. That's what he did. He called me Daddy Josh. With my encouragement, I kind of thought it was cute. I think now he just calls me Daddy. I think the Josh has kind of been siphoned out. It was Daddy Josh, Mommy Girl, which I think is now just Mommy, and it's Baby Ava is the terminology. But yeah, it's just shortened down to Daddy and Mommy. Anyway, let us move on to our next series, Player versus Joe. And I'm very interested to see Zeus v. Set. And that's what we're getting and what I anticipated we would see, Player versus Joe. How do you pronounce, is it Naeem? Is that how it is? Just Daddy works. But anyway, Ghost Lake. We got Player on the top. He is red. He is Zeus. We've got Joe on the bottom. He is blue. He is Set. And we've got some starting boar. 3 actually. And there might be More boar. Oh, yeah, the double starting pack at 3. That's like the American way to say Naeem, though. Okay, it's supposed to be N3Eem? That makes no sense. And what are we looking at for hunt? We've got 9 caribou plus 9. Ooh, this is a very high hunt. Very high hunt. Ghost Lake, actually. Naheem with an H? That doesn't make much sense. So when you're talking about Ghost Lake hunt, it can actually vary a decent amount because your second hunt can spawn in either 1 pack or 2, and we see 2 packs, not 2 pack. Man, if we saw 2 pack on this map, somebody called the authorities. But we got 2 packs of caribou here, and they're actually very high hunt caribou too. I think they can range from like 4 to 9 or 4 to 10, and I think it was 9 that I saw. So very high hunt, and who does that favor? I'm really not sure. Probably more so the Zeus, because the set player will always have hunt. The Zeus, not necessarily, especially if he gets pushed off early. But we got starting 3 boar and a north boar. The player might want to consider moving to a forward hunt and kind of saving his back boar for later. Might be useful. Because if you eat your front boar or your back boar first and then try to move to your front and you get pushed off of your hunt, well, then you don't have anything. Whereas if you go to your forward hunt first and then move back, well, no, you still have your back hunt. But we'll see what happens. What is player scouted anyway? So player forego scouting his hunt and instead hunted Joe's side of the map first. I think he predicted that Joe would try doing conversions on his side of the map first, when actually Joe maybe unknowingly outsmarted him and went all the way to player's side. So he's getting the caribou, which don't really, I mean, on its face doesn't look like it matters a whole lot, but I mean, that's 150 food down for player for each conversion, and I think with the penalty, we got a bolt now. Down 112, so it's about a 250 to 60 difference, and a bolt, very late bolt on the priest, because that sneaky priest snuck over to the other side of the map. For set here, you'll probably see your typical about 430 advance, and maybe try to do some harassment, and then get a town center, age up to age 3. That's kind of the typical set vomit that is played nowadays, but some people like it, some people don't. When playing Magic, pressure is high. Yes, except back in 2005 when it was Clan TOAO against Clan TE. Easiest victories in my life, I tell you what. I'm wondering what player will do if he'll just try to grab an early second town center at age 2. We can put those on next, forego the player versus Joe and throw those 2 recorded games, because I got them on my computer. I got them right now. I can load them up. As I'm saying right now, I got them. I mean, you're talking 2000. I think it was 2005. Early 2005, I think. Yeah, I got them. I wouldn't say, we're talking about 2005 skill level, but man, I thought I was hot stuff back in 2005 as far as skill wise. Now look at me, I can barely even make 1700. A lot of idle. There you go. Move those, player. All right, player is advancing 25%. What are we looking at for Shelty though? 50%. So yeah, about right at 430. Player about 445. Not Shelty. This is Joe. All right. Well, you have a good night, Mr. Magic. Sweet dreams, man. Thanks for stopping in. Appreciate it. I like a bit of an active chat. Really, the stream's about you guys. If I didn't have people watching, I probably wouldn't stream, because what would be the point, But I hate sitting around by myself. Anyway, yeah, dream team for life. Okay, so we have the vision. Looking probably for a shift. Alright, shift on the villagers. We got 1 vill down. I would have think player should maybe have anticipated that. But two vills dead. I would think, okay, here comes our heroes. We got the centaur that can do some range stuff. Watch out for your... Oh, okay. All right, all right. Very skillfully garrisoned. Yep, see ya. Have a good night, man. As soon as these heroes pop out, Joe will be done with his aggression. Just garrison your units. 2 villas and some idle time. Not terrible. Wadget getting picked off. I think he actually canceled his... No, he's popped. Oh, man. Player is housed. Are you watching me? And he's going to try to grab a town center, but delayed. So, okay, I like this, though. The centaur forego defending and went straight up aggression. So player knew this was open because he saw the pharaoh forward and he already bolted the priest. So, the long range pick off by the centaur and is making all of these units idle. So player with a nice little counter here, getting 1 villager back and idle time. So that's good. He's getting his town center forward with his heroes. That's what he needs to do. We're getting probably the armory. Yep, getting built there. Mr. Pharaoh showing up here. Who idles villas here though? Lots of idle time. These guys have been idle for a while actually. Okay, now go into that. So now we're gonna see some not shell. Oh man, I need to wipe off the previous matchup. This is Joe versus player. Now we're gonna see Joe just doing a heroic at this point. So you might think to yourself, in the quiet of the night, was the shifting sands worth it? And yes, because on its face you're trading shifting sands for 2 dead villagers and idle time, which might not seem great just based off of that. But what it does on the back end is that it allows Joe to freely get a town center with no harass and take map control, although now he is a little bit defensive based on players, all of this. So this is actually really good for player. What Joe needed to do was maybe do a wall here. But this is what you kind of need to do when you're facing this now, is try to counter with a raid or attack of your own. And really this is what makes Set so strong, is that most civs can't do what player is doing with 3 units. But Jason, Odysseus, and your centaur properly used are just so strong. And we can see how much damage he's done. Just these villagers idle, these villagers idle, a villager killed, based on 3 units. And most civs against Greek can't do this. But yeah, Odysseus, these guys are just tanks. They do damage. Now what he's done is forced spearmen from Joe, which is going to further slow Joe's heroic age, because that's what Joel's goal is to get his second town center and heroic as fast as he can. We do see the centaur dead now. Joe was a little bit slowed down. He needed to make a priest after his initial was bolted and his pharaoh was out of position here. Like, Joe makes a priest, puts it here on this hunt. This never happens. And it's completely different early game. But so player has really reacted pretty well to this, I feel like. And that's what player is, just so consistent. And that's what makes him so good. He is consistently good and is actually being able to get his hunt. But we see a little spearman raid here while these army are out of position. Spearman should be able to kill a vill here and then run away. And okay, so players just like, alright, don't care. You can raid. I will go, because I have line of sight of this. He's going to try to slow this down. We got Mr. Pharaoh coming up here. What is Pharaoh's name in this game? Sipta is coming over. I like it when it's called Bubba Joe. But, this block here, building block, was actually pretty good. I mean, theoretically, player could have just one-shot this and continued, but he didn't see it, and he took a ton of damage on his units. And is he gonna... man, if he prevents this town center, that's huge. Needs to get his units on here quick. Oh my goodness, this is so close. Oh man. Oh, I wish I would have seen how close that was. But wow, that was probably like 10 hit points away from being built. And the scout is getting the Pharaoh, not empowering. This is huge. I think the Spearman will come in and prevent this from going, or will get the town center up. But just that delay, that 20-second delay, was huge. Lost 2 villagers, lost the Pharaoh, slowed down. I think player will probably, is he going to get a town center? Or will he do 2 town center and age up with heroic to heroic? I think he might do that. But that was really good pressure. And that was really good unit management from player there. Most players would not have prevented it at all. But he got, first you prioritize the Pharaoh to get the empowerment off. And then you get your units on the town center. And player did that very well. And Joe still slow to wall. And player, if he parks his army here, Joe will be in a bit of a bind. In fact, Joe is not close to aging up at all. Well, it's because he went to a town center. So once you see him grabbing 3 town centers, you know he's not going for the fast age up. But player putting pressure on here. This isn't a bad fight for him. High hit point Greek units do pretty well here. Is forcing out a couple mercenaries as well. Always good to see that. And then you just run away, and that's 140 gold just down the drain. What is it? No, 90. 180 gold down the drain. But it looks like he is turning to fight this. But yeah, as long as he actually targets the spearmen. When it comes to classical age fights, Greek pretty handily beat Egyptian out in the open. The problem is the slinger, in order to get on the Toxotes, have to go into range of the Hippocon. And it makes it tough for them to get the damage the continued damage that they need while having in their... Wow. Start that over. So because the slinger need to get so close to get their attack in on the Toxotes, that means that they generally become face-to-face with the Hippocon. And yeah, so Odysseus is still alive, and he's been hanging on with like 5 hit points. My chat box is in the way, I can't read it, but he's been sitting on like 4 or 5 hit points for a very long time. And yeah, that's pretty much one hit with anything. And yeah, he's a boss. He's untargetable. He's so good. Let's see how long he lives. Oh, so player is getting his 3rd town center. I thought maybe he would do a 2 town center and go up to heroic based off that, but he's staying classical, and the Toxotes just picking off spearmen, just so good. What kind of eco upgrades we got? Just the first line and just the... Oh, wow. Whoa, we are seeing a severe lack of eco upgrades for Mr. Joe. Also, kind of an inefficient mining camp here. I don't know why he moved so many vills off of this mine when it still got 700. And we got, I mean, these vills are like completely walking all the way around. And player doing what player does best, walling off the corners. Map control is everything in Age of Mythology. You put up a few silly walls and it can just be so strong. And that's what he's doing. I mean, this wall here costs him maybe 50 gold, and he could put another one here, and then he's kind of just based on a wall getting map control for the price of 100 gold. Does he have line of sight of this gold mine here? Did Joe scout that? He did. This gold mine though, but Joe still has plenty. He's got 2,000. He's still got 6,000 gold. And the triple wall here. Yeah, this is going very well for Joe, or for player. Very well. He got a lot of good pressure in on Joe. That's what you need to do, and that's what's so hard to reliably do against Set in this situation. And we got a random villager. I think he's probably following Jason's gathering point here, unless he's gonna do stuff. And now that the villager's here, I guess he might as well do something. Kind of surprised players going so hard at this wall. Like, I feel like he might as well just fight the masses of slingers. But he did force out a 200 gold tower. But yeah, I'm not sure the wall fight here is worth it for him. But as long as he can continue to pick off units, definitely worth. Joe is getting Shaft Mine and Olympic Parentage for even stronger heroes, which he just got, so that's plus 80 hit points for old Odysseus. So yeah, Odysseus still living, and now with that technology, the plus 80 isn't quite so close to death as he was before. But yeah, this man, you can see why he's a hero. Player a little bit here, but the problem Joe's probably at right now is because he's trying to 3-town center boom, he can't really afford spearmen, so that's why we see this pure slinger army, which aren't terrible at defense, but yeah, surprised player is going so hard at this wall. I feel like he's kind of losing more than he's gaining. And we have more walls here. Yep, wall off this gold mine. Great idea. Player's got he's got Joe kind of well pinched up into his base right now, which isn't the end of the world for Set, because Set does get a pretty decent power surge once he reaches class or heroic age, just like any Egyptian. It's getting signal fires from more line of sight. Still very okay. He does now have his first line of eco upgrades. I'd like to see him send his giraffe here and eat him. A lot of Set players don't do that, but hunt gather so much faster than farm. Player's probably got to be close to aging up too. Yeah, player up age 3, Apollo. Joe could probably... player could fight this, I feel like. Yeah, he lost a lot of Toxotes there in that little volley, but like, surprised players being so tentative with this, because his Hippocon kind of would wreck all of these Sleemer. Yeah, walling. He doesn't got a little bit of a hole right here. The player just gonna advance up to Mythic right away. I think he probably would. What is Joe doing? Joe is advancing quick up to Mythic as well, but definitely late game. This is compared to other Egyptians. The late game is kind of Set. I mean, he's still Egyptian, so still strong, but compared to the other Egyptians, late game Set struggles a bit. Especially against Zeus's Colossus, because Set doesn't get mummies or Osiris or a second pharaoh. So you can really abuse that and require, if the Set wants to beat your Colossus, he's got to make like 10, well, maybe not 10, but like 8 priests, and that's just a lot of population. And then once the 8 priests go, you can kind of just jump around on top of them with Bellerophon and kill them all. So yeah, just the stupid wall has forced Joe to make a siege workshop just to kill the wall. And he's trying to get this Migdal up, which I think he might barely. A little bit of path blocking here, but Joe will be able to, even if he gets this Migdal up, here comes the army. So we have Thoth and Meteor, just kind of an underwhelming god power overall. A few villagers dead, but yeah, player can kind of flip-flop now. Aggression, he's got really Joe really well in the corner. Player is up Hephaestus, 27%, so he is decently behind, but not super far behind. Wow, these are some good relics. Caravan's cheaper and move faster, and faster farms as well, especially the caravan one. Man, that is one of the best relics in the game. You're talking a 10% boost to your caravans. That's huge, and they're 20 food cheaper, I think, or maybe 10 food cheaper. Yeah, it's huge. Yeah, Joel, I feel like, is just gonna have a hard time with consistent aggression here. Like, actually, this tree line is really hard for Joe, because it means he can't really trade on this side.
And he's got a trade on this side, but players got this still walled off and everything. In fact, look at Joe's trade route. It's from here to this town center, which isn't that good. And Joe will have a hard time with Myrmidon's heavy Hippocon, and player just has complete map control. And he's still got Underworld that he can use to go somewhere. And you will have we've got the Phoenix just killing itself. And players use plenty. I'm thinking maybe Joe is saving his meteor for when player uses Underworld. Because if you use it on the Underworld right away, you'll probably kill it. But yeah, this Odysseus went from like 1 HP at like 6 minutes and 30 seconds, and he is still living now at 1830 with more hit points than he did at 630. Got the elephants here. Joe trying to do some sort of aggression, but it's just so slow in coming. Player with really good early aggression, keeping Joe back on his heels, keeping him from booming quite so fast. So yeah, player definitely in the driver's seat for this one. He can really do just a variety of different things. He's got his wall upgrade, which doubles wall hit points, which is really good. I think player is just kind of feigning aggression here and will end up attacking on this side. I think he will end up doing an Underworld from here over to here. Once he sees, man, he does see some really juicy villagers coming up here to mine gold. So maybe he will just do a strong push through here and then call it a day, which he could probably do that as well. He's getting a fortress on the other side of this forest. These elephants take a lot of damage, don't do a ton of damage themselves, and we see, yeah, Joe, I don't think player's going to really have to get very tricky with this. Joe is just so far behind. This is his army right here as compared to player who is getting all of his armory upgrades. I never understand why, though, once you get your cheaper armory technology with Ephesus, that you get the flaming burning pitch first, because it really doesn't increase your attack against units at all. So, not sure why you would get that first, but I guess does it really matter? Not in this situation. Player is handily defeating Joe at this point. 1500 up in score. Joe is really annoyed by these walls trying to get through. Joe putting up a strong fight right here. I'm surprised it took him. He's finally got his chariots out, which nice strong units. Though they are a little bit close. Probably could move them back a little bit. This wall. I didn't even notice that this is player's wall. Very annoying for Joe. But yeah, Joe holding on to the meteor forever, it seems like. He also is a little bit hampered. He only has 1 unit production building here. That's just his Migdal. He has some over here, but he's not really doing anything with it. Yeah, so this siege tower pushes through this wall, and then he just makes a couple Myrmidon, and the siege tower dies. Which actually, it looks like player forgot about his Colossus. This guy's been standing here for a while. He could have had this Migdal down by now. Joe is holding, I guess. I thought player would just push through. It looks like player is probably just teching up and just kind of waiting. And again, as long as player's on the offensive, he's got a much longer trade route. What does he got? 72 gold as compared to 50. So kind of at a slight stalemate for now, but alright. Now the Colossus shows up. And actually, this Colossus could be a real pain in the butt and eat off this gold mine too. The gold star by eating the gold mine. Quite the contradiction there, but yeah. Starving someone by eating their gold. He's probably got all of his, well, almost all of his armory techs now.
Yeah, pretty good win by player here. Really well played. I don't know, maybe Joe's gonna try to do a wonder or something. I wonder if he's gonna do that. He might try a desperation wonder or something, because yeah, whatever he's never gonna break out. Players just got everything cinched up. But he's got, I guess he doesn't have the favor though, so yeah, no wonder for Joe. Yeah, well played by player. He got all of his eco upgrades. Joe is still just like pickaxe. Ugh. Rough game for Joe. Just didn't quite go as well as he probably would have wanted. Yeah, got our Myrmidon showing up over here. This Colossus still almost at full hit points. And he will start hacking down at Migdol number 2. Man, look at him go. Oh man, just the first line of armory upgrades too. Joe does have the technology that makes Migdol units train faster, but the elephants just don't quite do the damage that he needs. And yeah, now player's pushing on this side. He's got Joe in his base over here, and now he can just push right here. Joe holding on for dear life, delaying his resignation. Ooh, a little bit of a Migdol build here. Nice to see. It's like player does see it, and he's sending some units up here. And here they are, showing up. Elephants are slowly finishing up the Myrmidons. And I'm kind of running out of things to say about this game other than player played really well. Pressuring both sides, defending the middle. This is a nice little aggressive build though. Joe's almost 3 grand down in score and is still at least able to do a little bit of aggression. That's pretty cool. Joe using ancestors down here to get these catapults. The player building another wall. He can just, yeah, he's got these Petrobolus well hidden in these walls. Oh, there you go. Get that last wall built. And yeah, you got these minions not doing a whole lot. Nice raid though, but because player has control of all of the map, he just deleted his market down here, and now he is trading from this market. Never got the best relic in the game though. And we've got a town center down, and I'm sure Joe will be, hopefully he resigns soon, because there's not a whole lot he's got going for him. Joe doesn't have a ton of resources. Down a town center. Defensive everywhere. Oh man. Well, that was the end. I had to record a game on loop. Oops, I can't look at post game. But that is the first game. And a player defeated Joe. Really well played by player. So that is game 1. And off to game 2. Well, this looks familiar. Is this the same map? No, it's not. Wow, this is like a mirror. So game 2 is on Ghost Lake again. And player is Zeus on the top again. And Joe is set on the bottom again on Ghost Lake again. So, wow. You would think this is the same game. Did I put the score up appropriately on the top? I did. And player leads the series 1-0. So we'll see what the difference in a game makes. Obviously, Ghost Lake will be slightly different. Instead of 3 boar spawns, it's 2 boar. So slightly less starting hunt. But we are still seeing a double pack of hunt. for forward, and it's 8 caribou instead of 9. So just slightly less hunt, but still on the higher hunt side of things for Ghost Lake, which is in Zeus's favor, I would say. Because the set with their free animals and the conversions, always able to have plenty of hunt. And if you have, like, say, half of this hunt, the set player can kind of take that half, and then Zeus has no hunt. But yeah, we're doing this little game again where Joe is trying to convert players' hunt, and Joe is looking for the priest, and looks like, or players looking for the priest. Look like he might stumble upon the priest soon. I went around this way and is fortunate to get the priest, and I am sure we'll see another bolt coming in. And there is the bolt, and we will see no hunting conversions for Joe again. And ooh, a lot of goats though. We have got a 3-pack of goats right there. Interesting. There should be some other 3-packs of goats somewhere. Yep, there it is, right there. Otherwise, there'll all be 2-packs. I would think we will see a very similar game to what we saw the previous one, and that Joe will do his just kind of relax here and kind of settle back in my non-computer computer chair. But we'll probably see Joe with the early shifting sands getting another town center, but he will probably be more careful and wall up a little bit better and try to avoid getting pressured early from the enemy hero and centaur. Because this last game, Joe really responded well, countering with the double hero and centaur raid, and that really put Joe behind. Kind of relic we got over here. Villagers are cheaper. Not bad. Not awesome, but they are 10% cheaper. So you figure, yeah, did it with 25 vills, or 20, well, probably 20 vills early on, and you make 60 more vills. What is that? 60 times 5. What's that? 300 food. So, I mean, not super awesome, but useful. Okay, so the boar dead. Does player scout his other boar? Oh, kind of in a bad spot on the other side of his forest here. That's unfortunate. As far as town centers are going, we've got pretty fair town centers. Players got a nice gold mine here next to this town center, but Joe's also got a fairly decent town gold mine here. A little bit open, but not terrible. Though not close to gold mine. But what I am looking at here is it's a very low gold mine map. Ghost Lake can be that. You can have very few gold mines, so it does have 2 starting gold mines, but it's just 2 extra per player in this spawn. And I don't think a lot of players realize this, but actually the number of gold mines do vary from map spawn to map spawn. There can be a variety of different amounts or numbers of gold mines. And this one is just 2 extra. Joe did get the Sistrum of Bast. He valued that relic and got it very early on. Now, see, this time, as opposed to last game, Joe is making a couple priests. He did not do that last game. I'm sure this is in response to the pressure that he got put on him by the centaur. It looks like Joe is almost up. Oh, so he's going really heavy on his aggression, and oh, man, this is gonna be a nice shift right here though. Got 5. Oh, how close is player to aging? Oh man, he's a ways away. This was a nice shift right here for Joe. Got 2 vills dead, and he is going to make these idle for a very, very long time, and if he gets some good pathing, he can probably kill 2 or 3 more. Okay, that one is dead. Almost get this one. Oh, that's Wadget. The last shot from long range, half court, or even full court, got it down. So last game we saw Joe get a 2-vil shift. This game we see he's killed 4 vils, so twice as strong of a shifting sands. He's also got 2 more priests, but because he made those priests, the second town center grab is a little bit delayed. Yeah, a lot delayed actually. And he made a 3rd priest to protect his base as well. And he's also, okay, so he's going really aggressive and making a very early barracks before he even makes a town center. So yeah, this game is playing quite a bit differently. Joe is, you can kind of tell that he did not want to repeat the mistakes from last game, but he should know that player is getting a town center and anticipate this one is being grabbed. If he can pressure this one, which, he might be a little too slow. He's got these priests slowing down his army here. And, Odysseus gets them distracted. That will definitely get this town center up now. Odysseus, just that little bit of distraction was huge. Because if Joe shows up with his army before the town center's done, that is going to get a ceasefire out of player, and that's huge. But now Joe's got a bunch of spearmen all on this side of the map, and they're on the wrong side. But yeah, that was huge. Just that little Odysseus distraction was enough to definitely get that town center up, which it might have gotten up anyway. Odysseus is coming down here now, anticipating a swap from Joe, because Joe knows this side is pretty well defended, and Odysseus looking and seeing, ooh, I'll take this relic, thank you. And we've got the spearman raid over here. So Odysseus sees this, and these vils are doing a loop-de-loop, going actually the wrong way, running away from the hunt. Yeah, he just wants to save these vils, and Joe knows something's afoot, and he's looking for these vils. But he might be thinking that maybe player already sent them back. But so the spearman took a swipe around and lost the vils, and actually Joe's just gonna change these guys to hunting or to chopping wood. All right, so I did like this early aggression from Mr. Joe. He's actually probably will kill this stable. However, at this point, I think the spearmen need to end. And he should be either A, getting a town center, or B, aging up. Because you kind of reach a point, especially as Egyptian, where your raids in classical age aren't going to do a whole lot. And player's got plenty of stuff that he can just sit in his base for a while. He's got 2 gold mines. He's got 16 goats compared to not near as many for Joe. So he has plenty of food that he can sit on for a very long time. And the spear raids just, there's not going to be anything to raid. I mean, what is he going to raid? He can't raid this. He can't raid that. Man, if this 7 vils just sitting here in the corner, wide open. I guess if Joe wants to prove he doesn't map hack, this is the game for it. Because, wow. This is... If he could get that, that would be huge, but it doesn't look like he's going to. But yeah, Joe just a little bit too heavy on his barracks units. And he is going up, he is foregoing an early town center and is going to do pure aggression. So I would think Joe will end up forwarding up here, getting a Migdol and Siege Workshop right around here, and trying to push through up here And player will probably just stay on 2 town centers and do a classical fight until he can age up. This Wadjet did kill 1 more Vil, but is now picked off. Kind of eco upgrades we got for Joe. Ooh, not the greatest. What about for player? No pickaxe yet. Though he doesn't. Okay, he doesn't have a ton of units gathering. But yeah, all these goats are really beneficial for player. Does he have husbandry? He does too. All right, Joe, a little bit behind on his gold gathering. He's wanting to age up for a while now, but he's all the way up at 1,300 food. And 2 Toxodi is getting caught out and killed. Oh, Joe is grabbing a town center. Okay. Player coming over here to take a look and see what's going on. I don't think he'll be able to prevent it because he just doesn't have enough of an army. We do a slight little bit of damage, but yeah, he's definitely not going to be able to hold it. You know, so this town center grab actually additionally slowed down Joe's age up. I would have preferred to see him age up first, and if he's going to get the town center, do that after he ages. Because this slowed his heroic timing down another like 30 seconds, and I feel like Joe's way to win this game is to do an early, strong push, get a few siege towers, ancestors, and push through here. Get out, try to force out the ceasefire though before ancestors, and then as soon as that's done, finish the push through. I feel like that's kind of his way to win this game. So here he is, about 40-50% up, and almost okay. So wow, very go gold mine up here. Okay. Still though, okay, so he just actually got hand axe. I don't think it was there the first time I looked. But oh, where's his spears going? Oh, he's Did he see these? I wonder why these villagers moved up there. Not sure where these spears are going. I wonder why these vills moved. I didn't see them move. I'm not really sure why they did. So it was up. I'd like to see. I think this is one of those cases where a siege workshop would be better first. Get your siege out faster so you can get your aggression out faster, because the set push or any Egyptian push in our heroic age really relies on the siege workshop. So I feel like you should get your siege out first, and then follow up later on with your Migdal. All right, so Joe is going to find these. Ooh, player noticed that Joe saw. Okay, so Joe did just scout this storehouse here, so he knows that's there. He's gonna wall in, make a cage for these villies, and now we have the siege workshop going. Yo, what's up, Blossom? Been a while. But yeah, so I'd like to have seen the siege workshop out first, and maybe not even make elephants. But he does have, the reason he took this forward town center though is that he can train mercenaries up here when he comes to this push. So he needs to start his push, because this is kind of where this is his way to win, is this push. Oh, these villagers are just noticing this. And oh, sliding out. Oh man. Oh, he needs to be careful not to lose his tower though. Alright, there comes all of his units. But yeah, still don't want to lose your siege workshop like that. But keep up the pressure. Oh, the Scorpion Man getting in some powerful shots here. But okay, I feel like Joe should win this. I think he'll force out the ceasefire before he needs to use ancestors, and then he'll be able to continue his push after. Because yeah, players doesn't have a huge army, doesn't have a huge economy yet. He actually only has 2 military buildings right now, and that's not enough. He's gonna probably wait until his town center gets down a decent amount of HP. You see those strong mercenaries coming in, just cleaning up. So players gonna try to delay. See, this is where I'm talking to. You want the siege first, because now players Joy's at the point where he has easy military advantage, but only 1 siege tower. And the garrison shenanigans, player will be able to keep this town center up for a while, because Joe just does not have the siege. And lots of centaurs here too. That's nice. But yeah, no siege, and that's ruining Joe's push. Like, yeah, that hurts. But I think he's got a good enough advantage. How long have I been streaming? I started 2 hours ago. And I probably got another hour or so left. I'm on night shift now, so my nights off at work, I stay up late. But Joe needs his siege out, and he needs it out fast. Player is at 2 town centers, but he's got a good eco. Getting his techs up. Yeah. Not having enough siege hurts. Joe does not want to use ancestors, because then that'll be the ceasefire. Joe wants to force out the ceasefire without ancestors. Alright, so here we go. Does she complain that I play too much? You are treading upon what is, when you talk about do we argue, probably the biggest topic we argue on. But we've reached some pretty good ground for it. But anyway, here's our push here. So I'm on night shift now. So Blossom Goose with the 3-month subscription. Thank you for that, my man. Good to have you back. Nice push. Oh, see? Ooh, Joe just can't push through. His time to push was that previous one, but he not quite enough siege units. So here's kind of the rule. When I'm on night shift, which means I'm staying up pretty late, is that just the agreement is I'll wake up after Cam gets up from his nap around 3. And then I'll stay up until about 8 in the morning. See Cam in the morning, see baby Ava, see the wife in the morning, have breakfast. Then sleep until about 3 to 4, depending on the day. Okay, so player's up. Anyway, I'll finish it later. So here comes the big push, right here. Player, now we have a lot of siege. We have a lot of elephants. We have a lot of chariots. Player does have a lot of very low hit point siege towers, though. 1, 2, 3 are right at that point. 1 dead. Could get this other one. Oh, he's not getting the low HP. He's getting on the next one. But okay, now you can hop. Oh man, you can. We gotta have the ceasefires. Got to come out in a bit. Okay. Ooh. There comes the ceasefire. He might use Underworld to get this town center. Yep, here it comes. Is he needs 100 food. There he goes. Alright, so the Underworld to get that town center, but I don't know if that'll be enough. Because this town center isn't getting repaired very fast at all. Oh, I can't do that when I'm as a player. Text. Oh, Joe's up Horus. Joe's got this game. He just slowed down player enough those 4 extra vills, the idle time, getting all these vills idle running down here. Just was able to slow him down enough early game. I don't see Joe losing this game. He'll use Tornado, kill the town center. This will get player population, but player really doesn't even have the eco to keep up a population. And now here comes our ancestors. Tornado will be up soon. He could just use it here just to finalize this town center. But, all right. Same map, but different results. Good to see. Yeah, player has no. He ran out of resources to repair his town center anyway. So he will not be that high. And how close is Joe to age 4 anyway? Oh, he's only 70%. But yeah, this player will say, okay, yeah, he's gold starved too. We don't have a gold mine, player does, because he's got one here and one here. He has no gold. He's trying to get on this one, but Joe also will see that as well. So that'll be it. GG for Mr. Joe. Well played for Joe. Well played. Just a much better early shift this game. Yeah, player just has no economy. And now he's up with Horus, using it on the town center. And that is it. GG. And that is game 2. Joe just keeping up with eco. You can see he's keeping up with eco all this time. Was able to kill early villagers, get him down. This player must. Okay, so yeah. See, look at how long player is down villagers. So that is our game 2. So Hagrid, if you're still here, so our agreement is I just don't play during the day when I'm on night shift. And I play at night, and then as long as she'll give me a list of things to do every night. So I kind of become like a house dad at night, where I will clean the kitchen, mop the floor, stuff like that. Kind of do the more mundane house cleaning stuff, so that because she's watching the kids during the day. She doesn't really have time to do all that. So we got a good, nice little system going on here. Hagrid? Did I call you Hagrid? That's a compliment anyway. But yeah, Sigma. That is the final answer to that. Anyway, we'll move on to our game. My bad, man. Sigma. Game 3. Can we get Ghost Lake again? Oh, no. It's not Ghost Lake. It is Frozen Waste. So 3 games, 3 frozen maps. And we have on our left, Joe is set once again. And on our right, player is Zeus. And player, okay, now he sees his hunt. All right. So interesting. This is a wild map for this matchup, I feel like. Does she let me grind the fort? Yeah, if it were Ghost Lake again, that would have sucked. I could play Fort. I'm just streaming this instead of playing Fortnite. I actually haven't been playing a ton of Fortnite lately because I've been doing some of these streams. But sounds sexual. Yeah, right now I'm doing the semifinals of this tournament, quarterfinals and semifinals. And then once this tournament's done, I'll probably have RTS League team games to do. But about this map. So here's our Joe getting a polar bear. I wonder if it looks like player is looking to try to get a bolt on the priest, but so far not been able to find it. Gold is scattered on the outside like normal. Our hunt is pretty decent hunt amounts. This is standard. I feel like in this matchup, there is only one base gold mine though. Sometimes Frozen Waste has 2, sometimes Frozen Waste has 1 starting gold mine. Only 1. I feel like this matchup is on this map is better for the set. RTS League over Fortnite. Yeah, I like streaming. And let's be real, nobody wants to watch me stream myself play Fortnite because I suck. I mean, I'm alright, but yeah, nobody wants to watch that, especially amongst all 5,000 of all the rest of the streamers. I mean, I'm no ninja. But I like AOM. Yo, what's up, boy? Just doing some recorded games of our semifinals. Did player not see the priest again? Because he's been looking to bolt every game and has missed so far this game. But yeah, I feel like this map is set preferred in this matchup. Japan, wow. Here I was earlier talking about one of my life regrets was not traveling more before I had kids. And now you're coming in chat, rubbing it in. I swear, you've probably been like lurking since then, and now you're just putting out that insult, or not really an insult, but now just rubbing it in my face. Look at that. But anyway, the game. I would think that Joe should advance pretty quick, 415, 430, and with a good early shift onto Hunt, he can push the Zeus off of Hunt, and then kind of keep the map pressure up off of that. I think that's kind of the set's way to win, and it works well on this map too. Probably even better than Ghost Lake, because there's just less spots where the Hunt is. Ghost Lake is also kind of a bigger map, so to speak. Frozen Waste is pretty small, concentrated, especially because you have this ice on the outside. That's alright, but yeah, a life regret, if you could call it that. But see, now I kind of have to wait until the kids are a lot older or out of the house before I can do all of my traveling. But man, I'd love, Japan would be towards the top of places I'd like to go. Maybe someday. And I don't know, I think this is too late for a player to use Bolt. Ooh, okay, alright. So it took him all of 4 minutes to bolt the priest, as opposed to the last two games where he found the priest pretty early on. What do we got for aging up? Age 2 Ptah. And oh wow, yeah, about 430. And actually, he probably won't even shift. It doesn't look like he's just going forward with his Pharaoh. I think Joe has that Hunt scouted. And remember, you can always use your little cheat way to see where the villagers are hunting. And yeah, just pushed him off. And player is completely pushed off of gold. And you could almost shift here and do a lot of damage. Or right here too. And probably path block something, but it's just he's not going to shift. That's just a feint. Oh, okay, alright, he did that instead. He shifted the goats. Now, that's the other thing I didn't touch on, but that is also huge. Shifting the goats, because he can put all the pressure on with the animals. And so instead he's shifting the goats, and he got a lot. I don't think player anticipated that, because he had his goats all collected together, and that ended up shifting like 7 or 8 goats. And remember, these bad boys fatten up to 300 eventually, so that is that's a 600 difference with every single goat. And Joe's just got player in a really hard spot right now, pegging down the Jason. But yeah, I just don't know what player would do to counteract that. Joe is doing the same strategy that worked really well last game, getting pressure on with some early spearmen. Player's gonna have a hard time with this game. This will be a lot even harder than the game 2. And player is building a stable. So player not even getting a town center, just going straight to a stable, trying to find vills with his centaur. He will pick off the spearman for free. And he'll get some attack on this spearman as well. And he will pick off another spearman for free. And we'll start work on a third one, but then here comes the watch it. So the player needs to pay attention. Move. Oh. Okay. Only took one shot, too. That's really good. That's a lot better than I could do. My centaur would be dead right now. But yeah, player only takes one shot and then he moves and got 3 spearmen. So that's 200 resources down that Joe spent for really absolutely nothing. And player does have Joe pushed back and did find a few more goats on the edge of the map. And looking for where the hunt is. Player should know that it's up here. And he'll have to... This hunt will be done soon though. And then he'll be off to this hunt and then off to this hunt. And then all of these goats. Looks like Joe is going forward to take this town center. Yeah, definitely is. Here come these walrus coming back. Joe will probably end up eating these walrus and polar bear too. So player sees this, and he's also getting a town center as well. But I don't know if he can get this yet. Doesn't have a lot of an arm, and doesn't have much of an army. But spearmen are weak and do die to units pretty quick. So player might be able to get this up without having to cease. Because Odysseus just tanks so much too. And he's... Where did... Oh, player lost his centaur? Or did he move it? Oh man, this is so much damage though to player. Oh man, he'll get this town center and save his ceasefire, but at what expense? Oh, this Vil lives with like a sliver of health. Player must have lost his centaur while I was not watching. A lot of idleness here. I mean, this walrus did just stop. Okay, there we go. Do they know the map before the match? No. So, in this tournament, sometimes they do. It depends on the tournament settings and what they want to go for it. But this is all random. This is a random map, so it picks among, I think, the 11 different maps. Now, players do have a veto or 2 to veto a map if they don't like it, but that's after the map spawns, so it's not... Oh, polar bear killed a Vil. So it's not like for the entire series, the player will say, I don't want this map, it can't ever come up. They'll say a map spawns, they don't like it, they'll veto it, but then theoretically, then when the next random comes up, it could be the same map. But yeah, the map is random, picks between about 11 different maps. So player does not have any eco upgrades. Joe is now just going to try to sit and age up to age 3. I think he's milling another barracks. I'm kind of surprised about that. Feel like he should just kind of forego any more military and just age up. Because, I mean, you look at all these goats, they're almost at 300 food now, too. And he's afraid, Joe's afraid of, or is he aging up now? Okay, Joe isn't close to aging up at all. These spearmen really take a toll off of your eco. Okay, so no more hunt for player. This is where player is going to struggle, though, is that with Joe shifting all of his goats, player is going to have to transition to farm in at 10 minutes and 30. And that's not cheap. That's 75 wood of farm. So it's going to be tough for him. While player is still, or not player, Joe is still happily eating his walrus and making PETA mad. I don't know why this Vil is down here. It's typical woman. But she's dead. God gives more favor and buildings more resistant to siege weapons. Yeah, player's going to have a hard time. I mean, he's got a lot of Vils he wants to change over to food. Look, he's got idle town center. And player will just have a tough time. I mean, just look at all these goats. Joe making another barracks, a third barracks. And looks like he might end up having to move off of this hunt. Which actually he could have stayed on it earlier. Yeah, gonna have to move off his hunt and get a little bit idle. Joe probably should have sent some of his goats down here to eat. Or sent all of these. I mean, right now he's got 13, like, 40 villagers on wood. Oh, wow, and these are just, this is a train wreck right here. But currently Joe has 40 villagers on wood. Because we've got 25 here and 14 here. So, okay, my bad, 39. But there is no reason for him to have 39 on wood right now. He should just be aging up to age 3. This is really surprising me. Well, that's alright, you know. Making it exciting. Because the problem with classical age Egyptian is just that the army is so slow outside of spearmen, but even them aren't really too awesomely fast or too quick. They're no Hussein Bolts. But it's just a lot of army just to be defensive. Because unless he gets a huge, unless he way overpops player, he's not going to be able to gold block. So I feel like Joe is kind of frittering away his advantage by fighting so hard in classical age when he has 100,000 food and goats here that he could just eat and be up. Really, he probably should be heroic like now. He should be hitting heroic about now. Yeah, it looks like now he is. So all these villagers that were temporarily on wood, he did move to this hunt, and now he's moving to gold. But and he looks like he's trying to age up because he is stockpiling a little bit, but kind of seemed like he was in a little bit of a quandary there for a little bit and almost thought about fighting or making more of a classical army. Maybe he was worried that he would get gold blocked if he didn't make this army. That could be it. But if he would have gone straight classical, he would be up by now and putting a Migdal here. But who knows? That could have been what was going through his mind as he was worried about a gold block. And now we've got... See, this again, the slingers just have to get so close to get at these Toxotes, and then they just get right face to face to these mean Hippocon. And this battle is really going really good for Mr. Player. Yes, it has been set v Zeus in these 3 games. This right here, not so good for Player. But this side here, he needs to just run these. I don't know why he's fighting this. I mean, he is fighting them back, but he lost 4 Toxotes to the price of 2 Slinger. But yeah, this fight went really well for Player, where it could have been different for Joe had he just put a wall here. And now we've got Nephthys. Yeah, you know, that's the same thing I think of too, boy. Is like, I watch these games and you're like, wow, these ecos and these decisions just aren't good. But when you're sitting back here, technically an omniscient God watching these recorded games, it's just so easy to pick out mistakes. And then, like, I know for me personally, I play these days, and I'm just like, any intelligence I have watching the recorded game seems like it just goes out the window when I play. But yeah, I mean, you watch these players and you realize they aren't infallible, but that's just kind of how RTS games are. They're tough. That's why a real-time strategy in the moment, it's hard to make all those good choices. Watching from afar, you can see this is a mistake, that's a mistake. But yeah, so Joe is grabbing this town center here. player, and player is responding. I don't know if you'll be able to keep this down forever. Actually, I think more so what player's goal is here is to keep Joe's army busy, um, so he can get this town center essentially right underneath of Joe's nose. Because the Scorpion Man single-handedly will keep these Hippicon away. But the Joe players, meanwhile, getting this town center, and all this time, Joe is this delay with Joe aging up is allowing player to recover from a pretty bad early game, and what to me at like 6 minutes was a very strongly in favor of Joe. Kind of is, I would say, just wrong choices that he made in classical age is kept player in this game, has actually allowed player to have up to right now the advantage, and forcing out ancestors defensively, which you don't want to use that defensively, because then, as we can see, player can just run away, and he is essentially forced Joe to waste a ancestors. Yeah, how bad we are. Yeah, that's why I don't watch my own recorded games, because I know I would just be way too frustrated. Joe is on a little bit of the counter here. I kind of feel like his ancestors were a bit early. I don't think he really needed to use them. He could have just fallen back until he got a bigger army with his Migdals. And like right now he has to fall back because his reinforcements are getting picked off by these Hippicon. Player just... What's so good about Player is that when it comes to fights, he just places his units so well. Like most players there would probably not have put their Hippicon here. They would have stayed here, which would have meant that Joe could have kept the aggression. But because the Hippicon went here and we're cutting off all of the reinforcements, Joe had to fall back, and that was a really good play by player. Not one that most players would do. And I always see players up just a couple minutes later than Joe. And in really pretty decent position. Economically, he's probably ahead. Not too good of economy upgrades, but Joe is about the same. Needs to be a little bit careful with his Hippicon. And I'm wondering if player has the resources to hop up quick to Mythic. Not seeing a market, so I don't think so. Looks like he's gonna be content with fighting. And here's gonna be the next important fight, is when this gold mine runs out. The question will be whether or not player will kind of realize, oh, this was a really nice special from the Mana Core right here. Did so much damage. Man, that Mana Core. So the Mana Core special does splash damage, so it's really good on closely packed units, and we can see right here how closely packed all of these units were, and that's just splash damage on all of those units. So players taking some really good fights here, and is taking a really strong lead in a game that I feel like Joe should have had the advantage. Yeah, it's weird with player. It is weird to cast. Player is doing this as a player, and Joe doing a quick Horus. I didn't catch that on the news feed, so to speak. But he's trying to get this town center and fortress. You'll get the fortress. Town center, the tornado went a little bit off, and it'll leave the town center at about half HP. And now a little bit more than half with player getting that. I don't know. I'm less of a fan of other players when it comes to rushing Mythic for god powers like that. You just have to think to yourself, you're spending two grand, 2,000 resources to age up, and you have to weigh, is the 2,000 on Mythic Age going to give me more than the 2,000 I could spend on military? And that's always the dilemma that comes. And sitting again here on the chair, it's usually easy to see. Here, I think is maybe a little even. Player was in a really strong spot here with these walls and the fortress, and then Mythic does give access to the catapult, so maybe not a terrible idea, but you figure Joe could have spent that in 2,000 more units to maybe push on this town center outside of Mythic Age, but ooh, now we see our player is going to notice the gold mine down here. And what's funny is Joe sent villagers here, he ran his villagers away, and Joe ran his as well at the same time. Or, yeah, Joe sent his down here, and player ran his up there. And, okay, so Joe is trying to wall his catapult. Is player advancing? H4 Hephaestus, he is. And, whew, okay, so he's up now. Player needs to get Bellerophon out right away. That needs to be his priority. Bellerophon, Bellerophon. Where is Bellerophon? Where is Bella? Yeah. Doesn't have the gold for Bellerophon right now. Is he getting more building upgrades? Oh, I forgot to cease fire. So this will give player time to get Bellerophon out. Alright. Yeah, he needs to get Bellerophon to hop over this wall and get at the catapults. Because I think this push here is Joe's way to win. If he can push through the town center, he has a decent shot. But if he can't get the town center, his economy is just worse than players. And again, we got late game Zeus. Late game Zeus does pretty well against late game Set, and I think that'll put Joe in a bind if he can't get this town center down. But where is Bellerophon? There he is, sitting at 99%, trying to get out. Almost be worth it for player to delete a few units to get his Bellerophon out. Is Joe upgrading his walls? No. Okay, he's got this Colossus here to... Oh, watch out with your catapults, though. Oh, just got it in time. Okay. Here comes the turn. Here comes the... Ooh, two Avengers come in, wheeling and dealing. Should have ran this one in to get his special, though. Well, it looks like he's got to come here and defend. But Scorpman will clear that out. We are getting the town center down, though. But now the question is, can Joe keep this down? And okay, so town center's down. We got... Okay, actually nice raid here. I thought Joe was going to need his Avengers here to keep this down, but actually the Avengers can go on raid. So Joe knows the villagers aren't down here, and he knows they're not down here. So his Avengers need to come roaming up here next. But this Colossus has killed two catapults and pushed the third back, and player is desperately trying to get this town center. Joe needs to keep this town center down. He needs to, but oh, this catapult is taking a very long route to get here, but it'll get there in time. Bellerophon, I think, is having to defend. Where is the old Bella? Where is the flying horse? There he is now, just getting out. Okay, so catapult up, and okay. Joe needs to rebuild his wall. This game is getting close, but it's... I don't know if Joe has the economy to keep this up, though. Right now, actually, his units are in a bad spot. The chariots needs to fall back. Needs to fall back. Needs to fall back. Needs to fall back. His chariots are in a bad spot right here. And Joe's making mercenaries, but he really doesn't have a great economy. It'll cost him later on. This Colossus just tanking so much damage too, and now we hear the sound of chariots thunk, 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 thunk. And yeah, I don't think Joe's gonna be able to keep up the aggression. Didn't rebuild his wall either, and his catapult is going the wrong way again for some reason. It must have the gather point sent down here. And his catapult will get off a shot or two, but then will quickly die. One shot, two shots, probably a third. Yeah, we'll delay it long enough, but he needs to just rebuild this wall and, man, keep going down. That Colossus still tanking damage. You can see how many priests that Colossus is forcing out. 4, 5 priests, but Joe's pushed player back. I'm surprised. Player's economy too, not the greatest. He's got kind of a crappy trade route. What's it bringing in? 29 gold? Yeah, that's almost a liability. That's a lot of pop room getting taken up by a trade route. And oh man, we got Bellerophon, the single best rating unit in the game. He just does so much. But yeah, here come all the other Colossus coming out. You got Odysseus coming. These guys will Colossus chasing Catapult, the slowest race ever. Meanwhile, Bellerophon down here. Man, that's just so annoying. You'll come flying in, land on another villager. Can't quite. So Joe pushing forward here, but another thing we notice is Joe does not have a trade route. Oh man. Just look at this carnage this Bellerophon is committing. Oh jeez. It just goes to show you the amount of care that players putting into this. Is he comes in, fights a few times, kills some villagers, this gold mine is gone. We have now Silver Colossus to tank even more damage. And I think with all these dead villagers and now idle villagers, I don't think Joe is going to have the economy to push through here. Yeah, we're looking. He is bankrupt on everything. Player, meanwhile, has a little bit in the bank and is at full pop, whereas Joe 136 and 130. I think we will see Joe's army dissipating quickly here. Okay, player did delete his market to get slightly better caravans. He didn't get his upgrade, though, for caravans. Now they're bringing in, what, 30? Well, we'll see what this one does for the full trade route. 48. So, yeah, a lot better now. But, yeah, we have no catapult, doesn't have the resources for it. Yeah, no gold yet, and that's as soon as player gets this town center back up, that'll be game over. And oh, we got a raid on his other gold mine. So yeah, Joe. And we have an underworld. And that is GG. Game 2 goes to our hero in Zeus player. I guess if you hate the set. Alright, so player 2, Joe 1. Alright, well that means I need to download game 4. So let me take just a couple minute break. I'll put you guys on, and I'll just, hold on. Yeah. Let me get you on the overlay. You guys can take a look at me real quick while I type some things up. So, alrighty. So here I am wearing my representing the Cubs right here. Go Cubs. So a nice game, really well played by player. I thought it was Joe's advantage here. So let's see. Let's put in a little bit. Did I update the wrong person? Hold on. But let me just be right back here. Yeah, it was a close game. You're right, guys. Really nice game. And then now we are on player vs. Joe. Alright, so I will download game 4. Maybe we will have a game 5. I do not know. Alright, so let's see. Go to RTS Sanctuary, all the way down to the Spring 1v1 Tournament Recorded Games. And I downloaded that game, and save file. And we are good to go. Let me get this in my folder. Downloads, there we go. And I will get on over to my RTS League. Or not my RTS League, my recorded games folder. Alrighty. Spring Tournament. Semifinals. Paste that. So, alrighty. So give me 1 second, guys. I'm gonna go use the restroom, and I'll be back for game 4, and then we'll, if need be, we'll get game 5. So give me a minute. I'll be right back. Alrighty. Also got myself a little bit of yogurt. Just a little bit. We'll get. So what do you guys think so far? How are the games going? And just a reminder, this is actually pool play, round robin between the final 4 players. So that means we have a total of 6 matches to play. So I got 2 tonight. I plan on doing 2 more on next Monday night into Tuesday morning, and then the other 2 the evening of the 28th into the 29th. So you get 2 tonight, 2 the 27th and the 28th, and then 2 the 28th and the 29th, and then that will be all 6 of our semifinal round robin matches. So we shall get into game number 5 or 4. Game 4. Maybe. Oh, so this is actually the first one that I've streamed of this tournament. At least the quarterfinals were all 3-0. The other match was 3-0, and now this one is not 3-0. It is 2-1. So we will get to a game 4. I have not seen a game 4 yet in this tournament, and this is the first one that I am running across. So game 4, F2 player versus Joe. Again set. And is this the same map? No, it is the same map, but it is different spawn. So this is game 4, also on Frozen Waste. Very interesting. So The first two games were on Ghost Lake. Player won the first game. Joe won the second Ghost Lake match. Now we've gone to Frozen Wastes, and player won the first one. Will that mean Joe wins the second one? And so far, yes. As Acerbic Acid has said, so far, 4 games into this series, every map has been frozen. So we've got pretty much the same player spawn locations, and the players are spawning on the same side of the map. Player is our Zeus on the left, and Joe is our Set on the right. So yes, another Zeus versus Set. The one difference that I am immediately noticing, hey, last game Zeus beat Set on this map, and so far every game in this series, Mr. Comedian, has been Zeus versus Set, and we see player sitting 2-1. But the first thing I'm noticing that's different is that the last time it was 1 gold mine in the base. This time it's 2. I'd say that favors the Set. What relic do we have here? Increases cavalry and chariot archer hit points. Very nice relic. What is... Are you having deja vu? Only slightly. And the other one, infantry, have more hack armor. So, actually, both those relics are pretty good for Set in this case. Yes, we have been here before. The other thing, let's see, all the gold mines are actually scattered on the top, only 2 in the bottom. Well, so not all at all. Not all at all. Otherwise, goats, we got decent amount of goats. Decent hunt. This gold mine is like completely enclosed in a forest. But otherwise, the map... Frozen Waste, there's a one slight downside of Frozen Waste, is that really, from spawn to spawn, the map doesn't change a whole lot. I mean, you pretty much know where stuff is going into it. The combined YouTube Twitch chat is good. Yeah, I like it. That's one of the 2 reasons, or one of the several reasons I have it. You can see how the other side lives. And you guys can talk to each other. Isn't that cool? You could talk to each other but not actually be together. The best of both worlds. So last game, for those of you who maybe missed it, maybe Comedian missed it, is we saw Joe... Actually, you know what? I said that the players spawned on the same side. Actually, they're flipped. Last time, player was on this side. Not that it really matters, but I lied. Last game, we saw Joe seemingly have very good turn events at the start of the game. Killed a couple villagers, a lot of idle time, took all of players' goats except for 1. But then Joe spent way too much time in Classical Age. Threw his advantage away, and then eventually lost in Mythic. So we'll see what happens. I feel like Joe just went too hard on the Classical Age army. Needed to prioritize getting to age 3. So we'll see. It seemed like in game 2, Joe really learned from his mistakes in game 1 and played a lot better and won. So maybe Joe will learn from his mistakes in game 3 and win game 4. Do have hunting dogs. We still did have the priest converting right in the middle of the map. He's actually taking players' walrus. So far, every game we've seen player bolt the starting priest. I'm guessing that player did not find the priest again this game. He didn't find the priest for a long time the second game either. I'm no mathematician, but your pharaoh gives a 25% empowerment increase. Mathematically, if you're going to empower something, you would empower the place that has the most villagers because you get the most bang for your pharaoh buck. So here he's empowering something with 5 villagers when there's a granary down here with 10. And again, I'm no big city mathematician, but I'm seeing a problem here. But that's okay. There's a reason, or more than one reason, and probably many reasons, that these 2 players are playing in these games and I am not. And sitting
as I like to say, sitting on my chair, which is not a. Okay, so he's gonna do a shifting sands vision. Okay, let's pause it real quick. We're gonna see, what does Joe see? So this is what Joe sees for his shifting sands. He does not see any hunt. I think from what he knows, he's going to assume player is hunting here. So we're looking at a place that Joe could shift, and not seeing a ton of great spots. And actually, oh, player's already sending these Joe, if he waits, will see these villagers come into view in a second. Oh, nope, they went back. Okay, I think this is the best spot. He can get 3 vills there. Oh, path block. That was a nice little path block, but that villy will just get away. So 2 vills, 1 idle. And will he go up here? Oh, he won't, because he does not think there's any hunting up here. But he could actually scout and know that, and he's gonna come down here where there are no hunting vills. Oh man, like 3 for the picking, and he does not get them. And he actually could have gotten them. As I've covered before, there is a little bit of a game exploit where hopefully you guys can see through the chat box, but animals in line of sight have, you can kind of see it under between this text, have an HP bar right here. If the animal is alive and he's in fog of war, the HP bar will be red. If the animal is dead in fog of war, the HP bar will be blank. So Joe could have, without even scouting, clicked on these caribou and known that they were dead, and therefore known that the villagers were here. But he didn't. So Joe is trying to do some pressure, but these 2 heroes are killing everything. Like, the spearmen are coming forward. Player is getting an early town center. Like, there's not a lot of pressure with Joe right now. These 2 heroes have killed all these animals, a priest, 2 spearmen, I think, and working on more. And I don't think this is worth it for Joe. And Joe's gonna be pushed back again. Player only lost 2 vills, which is really good. And he's got his town center being built. I don't think Joe did enough damage, and his spearman pressure I don't think is really that beneficial. I mean, he's having to be on the defensive right here on the bottom, running his villies away. Even though Joe is put, I think he's made 10 spearmen, which is 500 food, and what, 200 gold? And despite spending 700 resources on army, he has to move his villagers off of hunt, which I guess they already moved off anyway, but you just don't get a lot. Spearman just is a lot. It's a lot of resources spent without a ton of benefit. But man, really nice. We're seeing a little spearman dance here, and that was really good. That was really well played by Joe to continually get that surround on the centaur. That was really well done. Really nice job there. Right as I say, I don't think he's getting much benefit on those spears. He surrounds that centaur and absolutely demolishes it, and he'll get a little bit of a raid down here. So is getting some work out of his spearmen, but player has a lot of goats that he could fall back to, and he could really just, send these to wood and send these to food, and he'd be good. This priest is, just in the nick of time, she jumps into the tower. What? Joe is doing what? Nothing other than sitting around and being housed.
I also don't like the aggression with his walrus. That's 600 hunt that he's got. He's gonna want that hunt later on, and if those walrus get killed, he's out that hunt. Like right now when he's got player in his base, Joe needs to be grabbing town centers and or aging up. I'm hoping he's not going to be making more barracks units, which looks like he's not. So he's kind of contented himself with the 11 or 12 spearmen. But there's just not a lot that they can do. I mean, spearmen with their low pierce armor, they just don't survive long underneath. This is really the only place remaining that he can attack, and player can just really send these villagers to his goats and not really mind a whole lot. Will he get this town center up? It does look like he will. Yeah, definitely, with the Pharaoh empowering. Alright, so Joe is on 2 town centers now. Let's compare real quick our villager count. So you can see player, despite the early shifting sands and losing 2 vills and spending a lot of time training heroes, he is ahead almost 8 villagers because Joe prioritized spearmen. And this little push here is really gonna hurt Joe. He needs to fall back and start eating these walrus. Delete, delete, and eat. Because spearmen just die so fast at Toxotes. And Joe's still looking for places to raid, and just not a lot to go to. Okay, so he did end up getting to those walrus, so that's good. Does have a ton of goats too. Just one Toxotes coming up here to probably take a look at this gold mine. I'm also kind of surprised that player is on this gold mine when he's got 2 in his base. Because they are a little bit vulnerable down there. But, oh, watch out, Joe, watch out, Joe. Oh, he's not noticed, okay. 1 vill down, probably 2, so not as bad as it could have been, but again, idle vill time. 2 vills dead. And you don't want to be, you got this villager stuck in the forest here. Regular Hansel and Gretel over there. What's he got for eco upgrades? Still no eco upgrades, just hunting dogs. Player probably has, yeah, player's got all of the first eco upgrades. This is kind of how player got ahead the last game, where he just got a better economy, advanced faster. Well, he didn't advance heroic faster, but just had a better economy, and he's able to keep up mostly with Joe, and Joe never got that heroic age push. Player's just so on top of it. The speed with which he's moving his units. Like, this is a nice raid, but Joe will only kill 1 villager. And that's just really fast movement. Meanwhile, on the other side, Joe's losing a villager. This lady is now surrounded by berries. And that's 2 dead. And he's got some bad positioning right here with these vills. Okay, so he is moving them. 1 down. This is not looking good for Joe. He's falling very far behind. 2 vills dead. These 2 are wandering past. I guess they wanted to die too. And they shall. Their wish was granted. Instead of running this way, they just went around that way. And that's 2 more vills dead. And now, okay, so Joe went up with Nephthys a lot faster. I think last game it was about a 15-minute advance. So this game with only these spears, he's up a lot faster, but also took a lot of damage with his eco. He's getting this Migdol up. I think he'll probably try to make a lot of chariots. Ooh, gotta watch out for his Scorpion Man. Don't want to lose that for no reason. Alright, yep. He made elephants too last game. I don't know if the elephants is a good choice here. I don't think he'll ever be in the position where he can really push. And if he's just using the elephant as a tank, It's probably better to just do a siege workshop and get nice unit hop inside the Migdol there to avoid, because his units were out of position up here. So that's weird. The spearman got last shot over here, but like hopped in and got killed over there, I think. That was really weird. Yeah, I'm gonna say Joe has got the advantage here. Fighting under the Migdol. Not good when you have a lot of ranged units. Okay, so Joe needs to utilize the faster units with his chariots and get some good raids. Player is getting Spirited Charge. Is at full pop. Is aging up as well. So economically, player is looking really good. And Joe, if he gets caught out here, this will be a very bad fight for him. Spirited Charger is a really good cavalry relic, or not relic, cavalry technology. And Joe is going to fight here, but still his unit's a little bit out of position. There he goes. Now he's getting him a little bit better. Oh, we got a Scorpion Man raid on this gold mine. Let's see. This is where you can see how good a player is. With player fighting up here, how soon will it take him to notice? And man, he notices before he even gets a villager dead. That's just really keeping a close eye. I wouldn't be doing that. I'd be having 10 dead bills before I noticed. Oh, Joe is trying to get this town center, but doesn't have the a little bit optimistic to get it. I don't know if he'll be able to get it. I think he should just get this one first. And player is up, and he's going to take the town center, and he's going to have his mana core, which does some pretty good work to chariots. And I think Joe's just too far behind economically. And he does not even have a siege tower. Like, yeah, the main focus that these elephants are doing is, oh, look at all these vills down here too. Yeah, this is over. Joe's just too far behind economically, and he can't prevent this, so I don't think he's going to win. You got these villagers wandering all the way around. And yeah, this mana core just doing so much work. That's GG. Wow. So Joe took one game off of player, which is better than none, but ultimately player emerges victorious. So the Zeus, a 3-1 victory over the set. So nice games, really well played. Player of the four players, I don't know, a player should win, I feel like. But yeah, player just so on top of things. How fast he's able to move his vills when they're getting raided. That's just, being able to pay attention to that is huge. So GG to Mr. Player. So I will go over real quick the end of our stream here, and I'll go back over our tournament setup. So let me update the scoreboard here. So player beat Joe 3-1. If you don't want spoilers for the earlier match, I did Moore versus Shelty. If you don't want spoilers, you can probably turn the stream off. Otherwise, I'm going to talk about it in a second. But first, yeah, player played really well. You're right, very convincing victory. So we'll go over the format of these semifinals. So the semifinals are not actually single elimination. This is a round robin or pool play. So I've put together a really generic looking little diagram here in paint to kind of go over it. So there'll be 6 total matches with each player playing the other player in a best of 5 series. The top players, or 2 players with the most series wins, advance. If there's a tiebreaker, say 2 players tied at 2-1 for second place or something like that, then whoever won head-to-head against them will advance. Tiebreaker 2, if there's a 3-way tie, say player ends up first and Moore, Shelty, Joe are all tied 1-2 in series, then it'll go by the number of individual game wins. So for example, Joe here, that one win he got in this series will help him if there is that point of a tiebreaker, which would be unlikely, but it could happen. So as far as the stream schedule, and just look at this economy, just Joe not able to keep up with the economy, even though he's killing early villagers. So this my intended stream schedule. I did 2 games tonight. I won't be back until Monday into Tuesday. So about the same time. Only I started about 3 hours ago. Yeah, what have I been streaming? Sure, yeah, 3 hours. So I started 3 hours ago, which will be about when I will start Game 3 or Series 3 and Series 4. And then the next day, Tuesday night into Wednesday, I intend on doing Game 5 and Game 6. And then we will have all 6 of our pool play round robin games done, and we will know who is first, second, third, and fourth, and then it'll move on to the finals, which will be played at some point. I'm not sure. So I could put in here my little text, and we'll go over our scores. So player, well, maybe I'll try to what should I do for winning? What color? I don't know. I'll color it. But anyway, so our game we just finished watching player. Player did a 3-1 victory over Joe, and earlier we watched Moore versus Shelty, and Shelty did a 3-0 victory over Moore. So our first 2 players to win their series are Player and Shelty. So if anybody has any questions before I close this thing down, throw her in the chat. Otherwise, we will call it a night. Let's see, what am I looking for text here? Joe to player, we'll put 1 to 3. It's indicate that he lost. And for player's side, how about blue? We'll do it 3 to 1. I don't like that color of blue, it's hard to see. Well, I guess that's what I got to work with. How's that? Nope. Oh, dang it. What am I looking for here? Green? Blue? Oh, here's a different blue. Almost purplish, but 3 to 1. Let's see. Then Shelty, we did a 3 to 0. And Moore was in red 0 to 3. I hope this graph isn't confusing, because Shelty was, so yes, the player 3 to 1, Shelty 3-0, Joe 1-3, Shelty or Moore 0 to 3 against Shelty. So there we go. That is our first 2 series. So we still have got player versus Moore, player versus Shelty, Moore versus Joe, and Shelty versus Joe. So those are our 4 series yet to do. So I will hopefully catch you guys Monday night into Tuesday morning. So thanks all for watching, and I will catch you guys hopefully Monday night. So have a good night, everybody. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it, and I'll catch you guys later.